Yes, you did. Made it weird.
What's happening, weirdos? This is Abbi Jacobson. We recorded it today. I still kind of can't believe she came on. She's one of those people that the few times I've seen her out and about, I get starstruck, I get nervous, but she was so delightful. This is always a treat when we reach that frequency of kind of like a sleepover or a friend hang, instant friends kind of vibe. I'm going to say it, instant friends kind of vibe. Really enjoyed our chat. So awesome. Definitely check out A League of Their Own, which is on Amazon Prime right now. Val and I are currently watching it. It is, as Abby says, a reimagining. It's not a reboot or a remake. It's a reimagining, and it's incredible. And she's incredible in it, so definitely check that out. A couple things for me to plug as well. I have my Largo show here in LA. Go to largo-la.com for tickets to that. Always awesome. October 9th and November 3rd are the next two. Hope to see you out there. They've been so awesome. Neil Brennan did the last one. We've had Sarah Silverman. I can't say who, but we're definitely going to have a very big guest in October. Pretty excited about that on October 9th. Largo-la.com for tickets to that. And I'm going on tour. It's the Pete Holmes Where Were We tour. Boom. Art by Katie Fishel. I sounded like David Brent on The Office. Art by Katie Fishel. Not bad. I'm going to be in Toronto, Atlantic City, New Jersey, Boston, Chicago, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Atlanta, Charlotte, and Washington, D.C. We may be adding some more dates. Right now, the tickets out on PeteHolmes.com are Toronto, Atlantic City, and Boston, because those are the ones that are on sale. But as they become available, we'll be adding them. So Chicago, hope to see you out. That's going to be at the Den. That's a full weekend. So I'll be there all weekend. Hope to see a lot of weirdos out there. It's going to be truly great. Truly great. Couple things to plug. If you like this show, the best thing to do, we don't have a Patreon or anything like that. Just try Pete's Pick. Just try some of the products that I love and swear by, like Magic Mind. It's funny, Abby actually drinks a Magic Mind in this episode, which was not planned. Here they are a sponsor, but here she drinks one on the air. And she loved it because I love it. I absolutely am so into Magic Mind. It's not an energy drink. I don't mess with energy drinks. I don't do great with high levels of caffeine. Magic Mind only has about 35 milligrams of caffeine in it. It's like having a green tea or something like that. Pretty mild on the caffeine level. Has adaptogens, which are naturally occurring compounds that help round out the edges of stress. So this is something you take with your coffee. If you're drinking coffee in the morning, and it's going to round out and smooth out that jolt you get from caffeine and make it more productive, more sustainable, dialed in. This isn't something that gets you jacked up. It makes you dialed in. It's a little shot. Like I say this in the episode, I always feel like The Witcher when I'm drinking a little elixir, because that's what it is. It's a magical elixir that makes you focus better on your work, be more creative, and drink less coffee, which is great for a lot of reasons. Your sleep, your health, lots of stuff. I'm just going to say generally your health. It's got a mix of 12 functional ingredients, including matcha, nootropics that help you focus, and adaptogens that help you fight off stress. Can be taken for a daily, I take it sometimes twice daily to be honest, for a sharper mind, steady energy, immune support, and less stress. You get 30% more done on average, 5 to 7 hours of 30% more productivity after drinking. And I can attest to that. I sometimes have it around 10 a.m. It's still in my system several hours later, and it's not a jacked up feeling. It's just your brain has what it needs, energy-wise, focus-wise. It's truly incredible. It's changed my life. Magic Mind is the daily morning drink for creators, entrepreneurs, and freelancers. Athletes have Gatorade. Now creators have Creatorade. Don't expect wired, expect dialed in. Helps fight off procrastination, brain fog, fatigue, and some ADD symptoms, getting you into that sweet flow state. After 3 to 7 days of continuous use, it gets easier to get into that flow state. Easier, the more you use it, the better it works. It is a creator's best friend. You will fall in love with this as I have. I promise. It is incredible. And I actually have a special offer for listeners, for weirdos from our friends at Magic Mind. All you have to do is go to www.magicmind.co/weird and use our discount code at checkout, WEIRD, to get a limited 20% off your first order. That's magicmind.co/weird. Use promo code WEIRD to get a limited 20% off your first order and try the world's first productivity drink. honestly a super secret weapon in my creative life. Speaking of secret weapons, this right here that you're seeing me wear, if you're watching the video version, this is my Apollo Neuro. If you guys listen to the show, you guys know I swear by this. Val swears by this. And there's no product, maybe Magic Mind, and it's tied for first, that I tell people about just in regular life. They see it, I tell them about it. Delivers gentle, almost subperceptual vibrations directly into your nervous system, because that is the language that your nervous system speaks. Touch. This is basically like a wearable hug that helps you fight stress and recover from stress. Can help you relax, focus, and be more productive. A wearable hug for your nervous system using touch therapy to help you feel safe and in control. I actually left the house, this was 2 mornings ago, got quite a ways from the house, realized I forgot my Apollo, turned around and came back and got it. That's how important it is. And last night I did sets, stand-up, and as I was falling asleep, it was hard for me to fall asleep. I realized my Apollo had run out of battery. I charged it, wait 10 minutes, put it back on. That's how much I rely on it to lull me into sleep. If all it did was help me fall asleep, I would still be singing its praises. But it also helps me wake up. It helps me ease into social situations that would have otherwise made me anxious. It helps me be clear and focused when I'm working. It helps me recover from a workout or from a stressful conversation with my parents. It helps me meditate. There's a meditation and mindfulness setting. Sometimes I use it when I'm not meditating just to kind of feel a little bit more zen. But when I use it when I'm meditating, I go so much deeper, so much more easily. And at night, I put it on relax and unwind when we're watching TV. Before I know it, I'm starting to nod off, get in bed, put it on sleep and renew. And if I get up in the middle of the night, hit these 2 buttons, reruns the program, and helps lull me back to sleep. It is actually training your nervous system to cope with stress better over time. The more you use it, the better it works. And it's not, I always say this, it's not woo-woo. They don't sell these in crystal shops. This is science. It's specifically neuroscience. It was developed by a neuroscientist and a board-certified psychiatrist who have been studying the impacts of chronic stress in humans for nearly 15 years. And Apollo's effects on stress, sleep, cognitive performance, and recovery have been proven in multiple clinical trials and real-world studies. And you can try it with 10% off by going to apolloneuro.com/weird. That's APOLLONEURO.com/weird for 10% off and to show your support of this show. All right, everybody, enjoy Abbi Jacobson. Be sure to check out A League of Their Own and hope to see you on the road. You got those dates. Go to Pete Holmes if you want to come see me do stand-up. PeteHolmes.com. In the meantime, enjoy Abbi Jacobson. Get into it. And we're started, Abbi. This is a very casual show, if that's okay. I just don't want you to feel like we're bugging you, like bugging your secret thoughts on weather.
No. Oh, it's because
yeah.
I would love for my thoughts on the weather to not be.
We can edit it out.
Yeah.
This is your episode, and it's a safe space. You have several weeks.
I then take these off.
I was just gonna say.
And I don't have socks on though.
No. Think of it as like a sleepover. Do you want a blanket?
No, I'm good.
I don't know how you are.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. That's it. You're the only guest. No one does that. Ryan Holiday just did it, and the whole time he was like this.
It's like a really deep. You must have to
You
sit
have
on it.
to.
You have to.
But it's supposed to be like a. It's not really by design, but I love sleepovers.
Yeah.
And doesn't this feel like a sleepover?
I haven't had one in a while.
Right?
I mean, except like with my person I'm with.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's the perma sleepover.
Yeah.
And with Val, well, that's why I didn't hug or shake or anything you, is our baby has a cold. So she was in our bed last night. And I actually think that's my favorite thing in the world.
I would imagine, yeah.
And it has to be for her. Imagine
it
your
has to
2 number 1 people.
Oh my God, like let me in.
Right?
Yeah.
It's Cuddle Puddle.
Yeah.
And I was just reading this. It's so embarrassing when I'm reading a book, and I know you're a reader. I was listening to you.
I try when
Are
I
you?
have time.
Tell me.
Wait, why'd you say it's embarrassing that you're reading a book?
No, it's embarrassing that I will mention a book because I read multiple books at once.
Oh, you're like,
So-
it's embarrassing. I was reading a book.
No!
It's such like a humble, like.
It is.
It's like
It's a humble
yeah,
brag. You know, I'm a reader. But if you can manage to read, I do want to talk about that with you. But anyway, this book called Tribe, which I'm really enjoying, talks about how like parents and babies we're primates. We share 98% of our DNA with chimpanzees. But this whole like sleep training thing,
Oh, yeah.
they're like, that would have been considered child abuse for the past million years of human evolution.
Right, to like not.
To leave
Well,
a
also,
baby.
there's like nowhere to. Where would they have left the baby? It would have been like right there always, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
which I don't even think would count because, and he is making the case, and by the way, I know this is a sensitive subject, so to those parents that are sleep training, I understand, I get it. Just kind of making this other point, he said that we hold our children skin to skin like 16% of the time, whereas our ancestors were like 90% of the time, around
Right.
there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, when I do it, it does sort of feel sort of like cheaty, like I'm being too lovey to the baby, but it also feels like the best thing in the world.
See, I don't have any kids yet.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you're being bombarded with what to do, how to do it, all the different ways.
Yeah.
From like internet,
Yep.
books, and friends who
Yep.
just did it, and parents,
They
and
do
who,
it
right?
to your face. Your parents will
don't-
do it to your face.
But the sleep training, I have friends doing that too, and I don't know how you choose what to do.
Well, Val, that's my wife, and I are super softies, and we're just going with that instinct. So the
Yeah.
like cry it out thing just wasn't on the table.
I mean, I even have a dog, and I remember doing that with like it's not the same, but like a
No, it
little
is
of
the
like
same.
a crate training. You're like, I can't do this.
We had that with Brody. We were
Yeah.
like, for some reason, I got in my mind because I had never had a dog before. That I was like, dogs need to sleep in crates. Otherwise, I don't know what I thought he would do, like mangle the
You
sofa
were
or
told
something.
the same thing where you're like, well, he needs to know this, and then once he's trained, then you can like let
Exactly.
It's
Well,
like,
thank
wait,
you.
Why do we?
And by the way, a lot of the same shame stuff applies. I remember I Instagrammed that we got the dog. Then like 10 days later, I was really having like a panic that we had made a mistake with the dog. We did not we still have this dog, but I felt trapped. And obviously there's like a social element to that. It's like
Yeah.
you didn't get a rescue or you
everything.
even considering giving the dog away. I'm ashamed to admit that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to breastfeeding, sleep training,
God,
what do you feed them?
I know.
It's insane.
It's insane.
But you would like to? You kind of
have kids?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that's a personal question,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I
you can
do want
always
kids.
just say pass.
No. No. I do.
Yeah.
I'm kind of old. I'm not. See, this other thing. I'm like, I'm kind of old. Like, I kind of gotta do it soon.
Yeah.
But I do want kids.
Would you carry the baby?
I think.
Because that's the the
Oh,
only
there's
reason
one
I
right
asked.
there too. What's
Biological.
up? Right.
That's your close.
Didn't process.
And I'm gonna give you a stand-up tip.
Is this
Ice,
like
ice
right
cream
in-
cone. Ice cream cone with your microphone.
Okay.
No. And if there was, we just won't use that shot.
Okay. Good.
You were
I
saying
think
carrying the baby.
I think like we don't know exactly, but I think one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One.
At least one.
You would do one,
What I would do one.
and you might have two.
Yeah.
That's a really cool option.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. We
By
like
the
do
way,
not
nobody-
have
this
this
is
like
not a
planned
legal
out. This is-
document.
yeah.
I'm just curious. That process, first of all, is a huge undertaking. Like they say, like I'm not like a huge astrology person or anything like that, but they say it shows up on a chart like a death. And Val will say that it's like a huge event, like a death in that sense.
You mean like? Wait. You mean like looking at the mom's chart or looking
like
at
the mom's chart?
Oh, like
that it's like
it'll
you
show
were
up
Abby,
like
you
a
were
big-
Abby, you were Abby. Bam! You're somebody else because
like it'll
you
show up when
become-
someone were to look at my thing before I were to have it, or
I don't know.
when.
I don't think it works that way, but
Oh,
I
okay.
think
I didn't understand what you're saying.
I don't even know.
got it.
I used an example that I can't even fully back up. What I'm saying, let me bring it back to
Yeah,
Earth.
yeah.
Val would say that it's this rite of passage,
Oh yeah.
which this culture is severely starving for. So there's something really cool, and I like Freudian pouch envy stuff. I saw what Val did giving birth to the baby, and I saw that she did something impossible and then showed up on the other side of it. So she must be stronger than she thought she was. You know what I mean? Like that's a invaluable experience.
Oh yeah, that's yeah, and I feel a lot of my friends, a lot of my close girlfriends have recently had kids, and I'm just sort of like, wow,
Yeah.
like it is huge,
Huge.
it's and very scary.
I was just gonna say terrifying
Yeah.
too. I had a lot of moments as the non holding the baby partner.
Yeah.
Whereas like, and Val knows this, so fucking thank God. Like I would have
Really?
nightmares like Junior.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'd be so scared.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny
And
DeVito. Yeah.
is it Danny?
Great.
No, it's not Katie Puckle. It's not Danny DeVito. It's
But shouldn't it be?
Tom Arnold. But shouldn't it
Wait,
be?
isn't there one where
That's
it's like
twins.
That's twins.
Isn't Junior? As well. They brought him back.
Well, because I was like, just that's casting. I was like, there was one. Okay, but that's Junior too.
Is that what they're trying to do with The Rock and Kevin Hart? I just realized. I
mean,
just realized.
That makes a. I didn't think of that either.
There's nothing new.
There's nothing new. Truly, as someone who, there's nothing new.
What truly is someone what?
Who just like I just reimagined a thing. There is like nothing new.
We can't call it a reboot. It's not really a reboot. It is a reimagining.
I try not to because people are like very upset.
Are they?
Or just like people get really upset when you're going to reboot their thing. So
Well,
I
you're
try to
rebooting a memory.
reimagine.
Yes, reimagining is great.
Yeah.
By the way, the show's fantastic.
Thank you.
I
I didn't
think
mean
it's
to.
so
I didn't
good.
mean to. That was just an organic segue. But
Excuse
there is
me,
nothing
Abby.
new.
We all saw it coming a mile away. You came in here talking about the weather, and you kept being like, "Yeah, this weather's in a league of
weather-
its own." Like it's like, stop it. You're a media mogul and a promotion machine. She mentioned it 3 times.
This craftsman is in a.
You said
league
you
of
had to
its own.
take. You said you had to take a Pina Davis when you went to the bathroom. And you said, "I'm sorry to be a real Madonna right now. This is ridiculous."
Wait, that's so good. If I was doing that, that's really good. That's great. I gotta like get a couple more.
No, more
Pina
puns.
Davis.
I got to take a Pina Davis. But that is interesting. I didn't consider that people must be a little protective.
Oh,
Because it's like
yeah.
a 2-hour childhood memory.
And it's
The
like
movie,
it's
I
one of
mean.
my favorite movies. This is why we did it. But it is are like, why do you need to remake? Like why? Like I think in general, a lot of people are just like angry at remakes.
Yeah.
Like why can't there be anything new? What like Hollywood has no original ideas anymore.
Sure.
All that. I don't get really upset. Like, you know, that sector of the internet. I don't feel that way that strongly to comment about anything
Yes.
in that way. Like I kind of just don't understand. I think I have anger in my life, but like I don't feel like I need to put it on the internet.
Love.
Yeah.
Need.
You know?
Also, I'm not a huge Course in Miracles. Sorry to keep mentioning astrology now or the Course
love
in
it.
Miracles. Do you know A Course in Miracles?
No.
It doesn't matter. It was a book that a woman channeled. It doesn't matter. It's interesting.
Wow.
A lot of people love it.
Okay.
I love the practices about it. I keep looking at your toe. I don't want you to think I'm like a weirdo, like checking
I
out your
think
feet.
there's
but
one
they're
that
very
has
colorful.
really bad.
Don't say it.
No. Like I don't know if you ever paint your nails, but see this
My daughter
when I
and I.
I got a pedicure and I like immediately ruined it, and then
Shame.
like with the shoe and haven't fixed it. So
Shame.
sorry.
Shame. As someone
of
who
shame in
has
life,
recently
yeah.
started getting pedicures in flippy flop season, by the way, all of our dad's feet are so disgusting. Your dad, my dad,
I
what are
know.
these fucking feet?
Should
I was
go.
like, you need to start fixing that shit now.
Yeah.
I'm 43. It's right around now that they're starting
But it's
to
also
turn
like
into
when
Star
you
Wars.
started going, aren't you a little bit like, wow, this is like a little
Ab.
life changing, right?
It's everything. It's
little
self-care.
things.
Women
Yeah.
have had self-care cornered. Not wrongly. Here, let me say, let's put a pin in self-care just for 5 seconds.
Yeah, wait,
The
I
thing
wanna
I was going
hear
to say
your
in A
thing.
Course in Miracles.
Yeah, I wanna say
is-
your Course in
I
Miracles.
love this teaching. It goes, you're not angry for the reason you think you are, is one of the like things you're supposed
Yeah,
to.
it's not about.
It's not
this
that.
is not about this.
And they actually, because it's a spiritual thing, they go down, they go, you're angry because you think you live in a meaningless universe. That's so, it just goes like, stop. It's not
Yeah.
a league of their own.
No, I'm like, you're not really. Are you like? This is not about us redoing this movie.
It's absolutely not.
No.
And then the third one, again, and then we're going to go back to self-care. I'm more excited about that. But the third one is God did not create a meaningless universe. I know that uses religious language, but it's like this like
Whatever you believe. Yes.
Yes, you
believe,
could say the
yes.
universe is not
meaningless.
meaningless.
Yeah.
even if you don't believe that, it's helpful to say it and lean towards looking for the evidence that it's not meaningless. You know what I'm saying? We'll get to that later, unless you had something.
No, you go.
I just wanted to really
go
work
ahead.
A Course in Miracles into the subreddit about people
No,
who
but
hate
it
A League of Their Own.
is such like a. I have a hard time with the internet. I think because
Get off
it makes me feel terrible. If I ever like just dive right below the surface of anything like that, I'm like, wow, I can't handle this.
Well, what's your relationship with it, like with social media and all that?
Not on
Good for you.
Twitter.
Okay.
No, I'm
not on. Hey, good for you.
just on
Twitter.
I'm just on Instagram.
Okay. Yes.
That's still like the last.
The last
thing.
one.
And I really wasn't on it very much at all until the show came back, and then I just feel this, like I feel like it's part of the press.
Yes.
Like it's part of like I feel a responsibility, like I have to sort of market it to whatever people would have watched Broad City like I just feel
That's
like
right.
that's part of the game now.
No,
I guess.
you wrote a wonderful book. When I was doing my book, and my book is all about like, not really, but it's kind of hinting that social media and stuff is bad, and yet I'm on social media being like, hey, you got to check out
It's
this
so
book. You
yeah.
have to.
Exactly. Me too. I feel like I'm like, I think there's a part in the book where I'm talking about this because we all feel that, but it's vicious. Like you need it. It's part of the marketing stuff.
Well, it's like McDonald's or to pick a fast food chain that might not be good for you. You need food, so they have the like hook.
Yes.
You need connection,
Right.
not just promotion, but you kind of like talk about 1 million years of human biology. We need to check in with the community, with the tribe, see where we are.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say especially women, but women tend to lean even more communal than men. So we're having like that yanking us towards it. But this is too heavy-handed. But like I was just talking to Mike Birbiglia yesterday. I was telling him I have this bit about social media and how I think it's funny that everybody thinks that if you were in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you would be the person that wouldn't take the pills.
Right.
Because they make everyone crazy.
Right.
So you throw them over your head, or you.
Yeah.
Poor Katie's heard me say this a million times. Or you put them under your tongue or whatever.
Yeah.
But here's the rub: some of those pills are Xanax.
Right.
You know, that's what I mean. Like some of the pills are promoting your book.
Right.
Like some of them are knowing your friends had a baby.
Yes.
So there's some. I'm using Xanax as meaning you'll
there
like
is-
it.
yeah.
And then there's the crazy making ones as
Xanax,
well.
the good pill.
Xanax.
Yeah.
Xanax.com/weird
Yeah.
for 10% added to your bill at the end of the program. But it still supports the show. Please do it. I'm just kidding. But like, what's interesting about that is I'm trying to say like, fuck social media. It's the pills that makes everyone crazy because it reduces reality into a binary. It's either good or bad. Either Abby, you look hot, or it's like, what a piece of shit.
Yeah. Or go fuck yourself. It's like
go fuck
truly
yourself.
like
Nobody is going to
You're
be
on like a wild ride.
That's
of,
right.
Like, yeah.
And don't get me started on how the human brain is preconditioned to hold on to negative things 10 times more than positive.
This is like the good. I don't process a good thing, but I will take like the one.
Of course.
It's terrible.
It's a drug.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I'm looking for it.
You are.
I am.
I'm only saying that because I am.
Yeah, it's whenever I engage, or when I mean engage, whenever I actually look at the feedback, it is to find a bad one.
Yep.
Or the bad ones.
It's as
terrible.
close as I can come to understanding, and I don't think cutting is like the weirdest thing in the world.
I said this too.
Yes.
Where I'm like, I feel like it is
It's
self. Yeah, you're hurting yourself.
It's something in your mouth that won't heal because you keep tonguing it.
Yep.
To quote Fight Club, you won't Fight Club. Hi, I'm 1999.
Yep. Yeah.
But like or like something on your body you just won't let heal.
Yeah.
That I can relate way more to that.
Yeah.
Val's always like, will you stop?
Yeah.
It's because you want that rush, that feeling of indignation or self-righteousness. You want to be like, you make a TV show. Do you know, like all that sort of stuff. But and everybody that listens to this show has heard this before, but think of how I feel. I've said it so many times, but it's Velcro Teflon is the theory. Velcro is if I say, I don't even want to say a fake negative thing, but if I say something negative, it Velcros to you. Mm-hmm. But if I say, which I did, not only is A League of Their Own incredible, and I envy those like sculpted shows, because the show I made Crashing was great. obviously, but when I watch it, I'm not like, it wasn't Wes Anderson. It was improvised, and it was
More like
more like Broad City.
where you're like you love. I feel this. And
Yes,
your show
but
is
then
great.
I watched League of Their Own. You must have had the same feeling, and you're like, I'm finally in something that's like, we know how we're going to shoot this. It's a special shot. It's slow motion. I know you were there. I'll tell you what it feels like as a viewer.
Okay.
Crashing, you cut to the wide.
Well, it's just a different process. It's like going on stage and doing. It's not this because Crashing is not fully improvised. Broad City's not fully improvised, but it's like you go on stage and you're like, here we go, like whatever like let's use whatever happens and like the energy versus going on stage and doing a scene.
A bonsai tree.
Yes, like a dramatic, like not that League's dramatic, but it's like a planned like
dramatic.
scene,
Yeah.
like, and both can go, but very different.
But even the way it's shot, there's a lot of deliberate and beautiful. Val was like, "Is this shot on film?" And I was like, "No way."
No,
there's
it's
no
not
way. But it looks that good. It doesn't have that like digital piece of shit. So many digital things look terrible, but like it looks beautiful. It has like slow motion stuff. It has like, I don't know, like the scenes. There's a lot of scenes where like they let the X factor play out. Like there's some sort of quirky performance and it plays out in one, meaning you're not building it by cutting between. Crashing, what I was going to say was like sometimes would cut across the street because it was the only coverage we had that riff in.
Yeah.
So it would be a scene like this and then for some reason it's over the freeway and it's me being like, talk about the Flash. And then it comes back in. A League of Their Own has more of a, and I'm not putting my show down or Broad City shows that are building it like that, but a League of Their Own has that like, it feels storyboarded, like someone knew. Like I keep thinking of that scene where you're running out on the field and how joyful that is and how cool that is, or even the opening where you're chasing the train. Very deliberate.
Yes.
Was that harder to do because, or did you like the constraints? It must have been driving like one of those old Model Ts at Disneyland where there's the track and you can't really move.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many different kinds of constraints because, like, I did feel similar things on Broad City that you probably had on Crashing too, where you're like, we had like crazy oneers that like you had to be like, we were very intentional with the way that we made that show too. This was just like so much bigger in terms of like budget and scope, and it's an hour and it's period. And I think like visually everything already puts us in like a more filmic environment. So costumes, but the Model T, like all the cars and everything is like, you're like, where the fuck are, like,
Must have been trippy.
I'm not in my usual
Yeah.
space right now.
Yeah.
And, but the limitations of, like, we still just had, it was coverage wise, it was like, we hardly ever did cross coverage. And like, so it was so much more intentional and limited in terms of, I'm trying to think, like, there wasn't as much freedom because we needed to get certain coverage in a way. I don't know if I'm articulating.
Oh, I'm
this
understanding you perfect. That's exactly what I was asking. Is like cross coverage, for those who don't know, is you're shooting it two ways, and that this way and that way at the same time,
which lends itself to a comedic scene.
Exactly,
because
it's what we're doing right now.
Yes, because if we're gonna riff, you have both.
That's right.
Whereas if you're in League and Darcy and I are in a scene, it's not done cross. So it's really hard to like re-riff.
That's right.
You can't
forget
like
it.
Get it again.
Even if someone wrote it down.
So so we might have had it in a 2-shot, and so you're always like, I felt like it limited the comedy for me, but enhanced everything else. So you do have these like more grand sweeping things that I think make it maybe feel like it's shot on film or something. But I don't know. I'm like, I'm rambling now, but yeah,
You're certainly
very
not.
different.
No, you're answering my question perfectly.
Very different. And in terms of like arcing a season, like Broad City, we didn't, story-wise, didn't start really arcing the characters emotionally until like the 4th and 5th seasons. And this is like fully arced and built to be twists and turns and this and that. Like
yeah.
Broad City is like a day. Every episode is a day, and you can watch them out of order, kind of. And this should not be watched out of order.
Right.
It's very crafted in that way.
The letter, I don't want to spoil it, but the letter, it's a letter. It's in your notebook, but it's a letter that you're writing to your husband? Husband, yeah. I'm like concerned for your character. It's a boyfriend, right? It's a boyfriend? No, it's a husband. That's a husband.
You got it.
I was like, I envied the drama of that. I was like, how simple. I feel like shows these days have to like hook you real quick, but I don't want to feel like I'm being hooked real quick. There's certain shows where I'm like, this is just a pot boiler. They're just going like, but I don't even want to name the show I'm thinking about, but like they just know the devices that will make you want to see who shot the arrow. Human.
Like, who was it? Yeah.
But like this show puts stuff in play that you want to see how it works out without me feeling like this is just to get me to watch the next one.
That's good.
Yeah, no,
it's also so interesting to talk about a letter. Like I think you too, like I'm used to writing right now. So the limitations of story right now, so much of like drama and conflict in our present day, unfortunately is lost because we have a cell phone.
Oh, my God. Forget it.
It's like you can't.
You just made me
no
realize.
One's late. No one's like you can like everything that you can happen is like, well, they would be able to text them or anything.
Look up the directions.
And so with that, it's like this letter is so important because it's like I'm not spoiling anything. In the pilot, I write this letter and it's sort of like very important, whatever's in the letter and all this. But you can't, a letter now is so, it's just an interesting thing to, someone doesn't show up in 1943 is like.
They're gone.
Yeah, they're gone. Yeah.
Like, where are they? They skedoodled. That's why they had so many ways to say.
Yeah.
She hit the bricks. Because everybody was always disappearing.
Yeah. Or
she's
like,
on the lam.
And also like it is a big deal and not because like people must have not shown up all the time and you had to not think it was
That's
huge.
Right. 90s.
Now if someone doesn't show up and they don't pick up, it's something's they're gone.
They're dead.
They're fully dead.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
let's call
someone
whoever
doesn't show
has
up
their
for 15
phone.
minutes and doesn't answer once. I'm like, we need to call.
That's right.
We need to call someone and there's something
That's
that has
right.
to be
But you're bringing me back. I was just talking to Birbiglia again, same phone call. This was last night. And I was like, on Saturday, I try and do like a phone Sabbath. I'm not Jewish, but no phone.
But it's a great rule. I don't do it, and I am Jewish. I should.
I'm Jewish shaming you?
Yeah.
So feel like
I know I should.
you could do that.
I know.
No, it's not. It's really not for everybody. Meaning there are times in my life that it wasn't for me, but now it's for me. I feel like I can do it, and I do it. And Mikey was like, I should do that too. He said that he went to the Comedy Cellar last night, but he forgot his phone, and he needed to ask someone to call an Uber for him. And he asked his friend. They did it happily. But that need that was created, I said to him, what did I say? I said, like remembering my own life like I'm Hemingway. What did I say to him? I said, I said, it went from a problem that you would have just solved with, let's be honest, a piece of technology that does not love you.
Right.
Pretty simple.
Right.
But like really consider that. It doesn't give a shit about you.
No.
Food cooked by people who don't give a shit about you, delivered by people who don't give a shit about you, on a phone that doesn't give a shit about you. Doesn't need to, but it's kind of worth noting.
Yes.
Now has been turned into a friend. It became something that, and he agreed. I was like, you might remember that on your deathbed. It's so small, but you go like, remember that time that Abby called me an Uber.
Took care of me.
Or she took care of me. And it was created by not having your phone. And we had so much more of that need in the 90s. And certainly, what year is League of Their Own?
43.
43. Good year.
Good year.
I know nothing about that year.
I know kind of a lot, but don't test me now.
Oh, I will not.
No.
I will absolutely not. So you're absolutely right. The letter and when you mail the letter, this is what that brought to mind. How many breakups or like decisions that you didn't even mean were you forced to stick to because of the heat of the moment? Like that letter these days, you might just be a text and maybe you just send it and now you have to commit to it.
Right.
But you really had to like think about it and stuff. I know I'm talking a lot, but like I really feel
it
like
also it lasts like at least a week.
Yes.
Like it's not so immediate. Things are not as immediate because at least anyone that wasn't living in the same spot, like communication
Yeah.
was very different.
It was brought by Pony.
Yeah.
And then their response, you kind of knew you were getting like a thoughtful response, unless the handwriting was insane.
Right.
And, then,
And there
know,
was
like,
there was telephones as well, but
telephones for
but
sure. But who
just-
had time?
Yeah. But it is just it's just different.
It is.
But also I can remember like we can remember no cell
The 90s.
phones, which was like if someone didn't pick up a landline,
No big deal.
no big deal, but also like, I remember my mom like not being able to find me.
Yeah.
And truly, I will never forget. I was at a baseball, hilarious
Hey,
baseball
there it
game.
is. All right, we get it. A League of Their
and
Own
she-
now streaming on Amazon Prime,
But
included
she
with
wa-
Prime membership.
It was one of those things where she was like, "I pictured you on the back of a milk carton."
Yeah.
Like we're like now, it's like you have a phone attached to you.
You're right. Look, this is what I was going to say about Phone Sabbath is it is like being in the 90s for one
Yeah.
day. And what you notice is a day is a lot richer than you remember. Like if you're not and let's be honest, sometimes it's great. It's like a layer of frosting.
Yep.
It keeps you from feeling unpleasant things, but also might be keeping you from feeling some pleasant things. But like on those Saturdays, I'm really shocked at how kind of crazy your inner life can be. Not bad crazy, because it's slow. This is misleading.
It's so
more like
much-
this.
Life can be so much slower.
Slow,
Like I think the phones make everything go faster because you're wasting time.
and then bring in coffee, which I'm drinking just a little bit of.
You're drinking. I thought that was a seltzer. You're
Hilarious.
drinking a cold brew.
I'm drinking a Coldie Bee.
You know, I don't know if you can tell. I've only had one coffee.
Do you need?
I should have had a second coffee. No, I think I'm doing okay.
Do you want to drink a Magic Mind? Is my favorite thing.
A what?
It's a magic. It's 35 milligrams of caffeine, so it's like drinking like a green tea. It's matcha, but it also has nootropics and adaptogens. So do you know what adaptogens are?
A little bit.
They round out stress.
Yeah.
They help you cope with stress, and nootropics help you think. If I give it
I
to
mean,
you,
yeah.
because you're a writer, I'm
I'm
gonna love it.
get on. You're sponsoring now?
Yeah, but I loved them before they were sponsoring the show. Would you grab one, Katie? Sorry.
I truly
As a writer, you're gonna love
do.
those.
I drink matcha.
Yep.
Oh, they're like little guys.
Oh yeah, a little elixir from the show The Witcher. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're gonna love. I know this seems like an ad. This is just real. This is just me
No,
saying like this
I
is gonna
do
make
love all
you.
this.
You're gonna love it.
Okay.
It also works with your coffee.
Because I
You can
only
also.
have one, and I usually have two. Like I usually have 3 a day. How many do you have?
I'll have this much of this and then I'm done.
Oh, okay.
I can't.
Okay.
I'm an anxious person, so if I have too much,
Okay, this is good.
it's okay. I was ready
a
for you to
little
be like,
sweet, but
yeah.
good.
They put honey and stevia in it, and I think they're. My friend James Bashara invented it. You should just shoot it.
I should. Okay, maybe that is because I'm sipping it.
Yeah, it's definitely a shoot. But it's also, can I use the phrase ladylike? Or I'll just say it's very dainty. That you're just taking
It's
little
not
sips.
one of those where it's like uncomfortable to sip.
I think they were afraid, as most people who sell matcha are, that it tastes like mown grass. But this is totally workable
Shake it one more time.
to get that good stuff.
Yeah.
You're really a Magmind pro, I'm going to say. But
Wait, I feel like I cut you off. We're going, which I tend to do.
me too.
I know.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It is okay. I kind of want to go back to your coffee thing. You can
yeah.
drink that much coffee without spaz, and you shouldn't.
But you
say
know what? I
spazzing.
have-
I just
I
found
have
out, don't say
major-
spazzing. It's
Yeah.
offensive.
I have not major. I do have anxiety, so maybe it's bad that I
Yeah.
drink so much coffee. But I'll have one in the morning, and then maybe a second in the morning, and then I'll have one at like 2:33.
Are we looking at like a 16-ounce like iced coffee?
No, we're talking like coffee at home, like a
Like a
Chemex cup of coffee,
Okay.
and then maybe another one of those, and then I'll do an iced coffee later.
Well, at what time is that?
2:30 or 3.
Okay, that's not terrible.
This is also when I'm mostly in a writer's
Working.
room
Yeah.
where I'm like, I need it so bad, especially a Zoom room. I can't
Fucking
even.
throw me out the window.
Like-
what season of it was Broad City where you're like, that's me in a Zoom writer's room where you're like hanging on the
Well,
building?
we wouldn't.
I
Oh
can't.
yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
can't.
I was like, we would never.
No, the poster.
Well,
where
we
you're
were
like-
mimicking like The Rock hanging off.
Yes.
What was
It's
bringing
very-
it back to the Rock where he's like hanging out of the
And there's Kevin
helicopter.
Hart.
Yeah, or Kevin Hart hanging off his foot. Right?
on one shoelace.
That's it. That's it.
I got it. I'm fully supported.
I know.
Oh, poor Kevin. So
Keep your shoe
talented.
on. Keep your shoe on.
Just don't remove your shoe.
He's so talented, and all we talk about is how short he is. What a shame. I mean, us as a collective.
I do really like Kevin Hart.
Is he great? Have you ever?
No.
Never.
I do really like Kevin Hart. Oh no, maybe I shouldn't say this.
I love it. Edit it out if you don't like it.
You know what? And maybe just fact check it. I really actually love Kevin Hart. Alana and I wrote a movie for him once that he didn't want to do, but we wrote it. But
What?
we thought it
doesn't
was
sound
great. No, it's
Kevin
just
Hart
like
said
wasn't.
no to something? I left Val a voicemail and Kevin Hart was in it. Hot riff. Hot riff.
That was
I'm
good.
going to give myself the hot riff award. He said no?
Well, like it just wasn't the right movie.
Well, probably because he was doing 9
Yeah,
other
like
movies,
he's like a huge movie star. No, actually, we wrote this movie, which I think is brilliant.
Tell me.
It was, and it is a reboot. It was, you remember the film The Bodyguard?
Of course.
Whitney Houston, Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
We wrote a new version of The Bodyguard with, I think this is so funny, Kevin Hart, Melissa McCarthy.
And Melissa McCarthy's the bodyguard. Isn't
Yeah.
she?
It's funny, right?
It's great.
Kevin Hart is a rapper and needs a bodyguard, but they don't want the bodyguard to look like a bodyguard.
Oh my God.
And so she was sort of like this like ex, like,
What if you pitched it to
military.
Melissa McCarthy and she was like, what do you mean? What do you
she
mean I
might.
don't look like a bodyguard?
Oh, I thought you meant, what do you mean? Like, I've never heard of this movie. And I was
She's
like,
just
she
like-
might have never heard of it. Might have never got to
No, it got to her. She liked
I know.
it.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure it got to them. and
What
they said,
you
"No,
were
it's
saying
okay."
though, Melissa McCarthy isn't going to look like a bodyguard, so she can be close to him without
So
being
she be close to him
suspicious.
without like, she would be the unlikely person nearby. And the poster is obviously her carrying Kevin Hart out of like Kevin Costner carrying.
Of course, and she's kind of like, we're back to co-sleeping. That is like that's a baby. And when I hold
I
my
thought
baby,
those two would be so fun.
like, are you fucking crazy? Yes.
I know. We did,
I
we
hate
thought it.
I hate when ideas die. I can't handle it.
But also, I've never talked about it. It's kind of fun to talk about it. And it's like, that would have been a fun movie.
It would have been great.
Anyway, the one thing I don't love that I might have heard wrong, and maybe someone will come at me about it,
All right.
probably.
On the League subreddit.
Yeah, actually, I really don't ever want to go and look at. I feel like I heard that he didn't feel comfortable playing gay
Oh, not in The Bodyguard, but in something
in
else.
anything. Which I
That's
feel
interesting.
I feel just overall like an actor isn't really a lot of things that they play.
Right. I wonder.
You know, that's always just like a interesting thing to know about someone that they
Remember Will Smith pre-slap Smith.
Did he say, is this him too?
Pre-slap Smith was in 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I'm just kidding. It's called 6 Degrees of Separation.
Yeah, that was a great film.
And he said pre-slap. I have to keep saying pre-slap. Not that we have to disown somebody for making a mistake. I'm just making. But he said that one of the greatest regrets of his career was doing the kiss. There was a homosexual kiss. It sounds worse to say homosexual. There was a man kiss with Will, and he had it shot from behind. So I think he didn't actually do the smoochy smooch.
Oh, and
And
it was
he later said that was one of the greatest regrets of
that,
his,
he didn't do it because it was like,
his artistic career. He was like, what was I? But he was on, he wasn't there yet. Maybe Kevin's in a similar
yeah, because
place.
I do really like him.
Yeah,
That was the one thing that kind of threw me.
It does. Are you looking it up? You don't have to. What do you type in? Kevin Hart, gay.
No, but I also,
Phobia.
I'm not really up to date on all that stuff.
Yeah, I understand. This doesn't feel like shots fired. You just
No,
heard-
I do
heard
really
something.
like. I think he seems like he's super talented. And
He
all the
sure is.
things. Yeah.
Let's just pitch him a lot of gay movies. I'm saying like
Yeah.
only gay movies.
The Bodyguard was extraordinary. Well, it actually wasn't, but
Although I just light up. That's enough. As if it was two dudes.
They found.
Kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, where were we? Oh, self-care is one of the
Self-care.
things.
Yeah.
Are you a good self-care person?
Not right now.
What are
No,
you doing
I'm
right
not.
now? Are you doing?
I feel
What's going on?
like I need to get. I'm really good at self care when I'm in a routine. Mm-hmm. And right now, my life is all. I feel like I just like the show just came out, and then I went on vacation,
Okay. Where?
which I haven't done in so long.
Let me guess where you went.
You're gonna guess it.
Because you went to Maui.
No,
Is it because you went to Maui?
I didn't go to Maui.
Where did you go?
I went to Italy
I was gonna say you feel Spain to me. I was closer.
and Spain.
And Spain.
I went to Majorca.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it?
It was incredible.
I believe it. I've never
Yeah.
been to Spain.
You should go.
I believe it.
It's really good.
towards the top of my list.
I'd never been to Italy. I'd been to Spain, but very different. I've been to Barcelona, but I'd never been. Italy is it's what they say.
Yeah.
It's great.
No,
it's
it
fully
lives up.
great.
It
It's
lives
like
up.
everything about it.
Where were you?
I was on the coast, on the west coast.
Santa Monica?
Yeah, it's a great Italian restaurant. in Santa Monica.
Buca di Beppo. There's a great Buca di Beppo in Santa
family
Monica.
style. Yeah,
Family style or
yeah.
just me really hungry?
Yeah.
Either way. I'll eat 7 chicken
Yeah.
cutlets. I don't care. You're on the west side.
Like,
so
it would be like if you're. I didn't go to Tuscany, but it's like Tuscany and like the coast.
How was the driving? Did you take like a car from the airport to where?
Yeah.
Was it nuts? That's all I remember.
Well, we took a car one way, and it was like an hour from the airport, which was fine. And then we took a train the other way, which was nice.
But you didn't notice that the driving was, say, different from the Western style?
No, did you?
Yeah, last time I went to Italy, sorry, privilege check. But last time I was in Italy,
Yeah.
Val and I got in the cab, I actually think it was a car, somebody was hired, meaning not just a yellow cab off the street.
Yeah.
And he was looking at his phone and drive like the whole way, and we were
no.
just like. It's like when you're not sure if it's cultural and it doesn't feel appropriate because everyone was doing it. It was
Actually,
sort of like
the
a
guy
symphony.
was like in the lane. It was almost like he was driving where like the lines were supposed to be in the middle
Yeah.
of the car.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, I thought you made the lines go underneath the car.
Yeah. I do remember that
Okay,
now.
good.
Yeah,
And did you relax?
I did.
You were able?
I read a whole book.
You read a whole book?
I had been on such a not relaxing mode. Like this show season 1 took we've been writing it since 2018.
Wow.
And production was like 2.5 years.
This show's in
'Cause
a
of
league
COVID,
of
all
its
this-
own. Sorry.
So I was like, when it comes out, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm getting out of here.
Getting out of here.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, as you were talking about before, I really wasn't on my phone that much.
Tuscany style.
For 2 weeks, I read a book
What book
and a
did
half.
you read? Please Be Tribe.
I read.
It would have so much to
actually read
talk
like
about.
an interesting, like dark book. My Year of Rest.
What if you were like the
Relapse.
Bible?
Yeah, I read the Bible.
It's really dark, sort
It
of
was
twisted.
Like it was really
Guy's son
intense.
dies.
Lot of
He comes back.
family tragic. Yeah,
Sort of ends with this weird prophecy.
yeah.
The ocean turns into blood.
Took a turn.
Takes a
Yeah,
turn.
takes a turn.
It starts off kind of. It's actually this is the Bible. It starts off really fast. The Genesis.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
great book.
yeah.
A lot of twists and
Yeah,
turns.
yeah.
That's the Cecil B. DeMille
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And then the middle is real sleepy.
Yeah.
Real
You
sleepy.
have to stick with it.
Stick with it. Wait
Yeah.
for Jesus. Wait. He's sort of the Jared Leto of the story.
Oh my God.
What?
That's so funny. Jared
What?
Leto was there
Where?
on the vacation.
Okay. Synchronicity. Note it. Note the ricity.
Right when we got there, he was there. He was at this hotel.
No.
Yeah.
You saw Leto?
Well, I mean, like from so far, he was truly.
Oh my
It was
God.
like on one of those picturesque Italian. It's not a beach; it's like a rocky seaside.
Yes.
Where you can you just like take a swim,
Yes.
like this incredible area, but it was shallow rocks. But he was fully
Stop.
snorkeling on his own, like no one else was.
Stop
he was
it.
in a full wetsuit snorkeling.
Leto.
Yeah, and friends we were with said they had spoken to him, and I mean, because I was like, whoa, can you even, like, is there anything even to see right here? Like, because he was on his own. Like,
He's just looking at his own beautiful reflection in the mask.
I know,
Like
but
he's looking at his
yeah.
own eyes. Oh my God, I'm Jared Leto.
But apparently there were a lot of things to see down in there.
Yeah, he's no dummy. I'm going to put this to you. Jared Leto, I think people tease him a little bit because he's so beautiful and all these things, so you assume he's stupid or whatever it means. I don't know what people are teasing him for, but I catch Leto being kind of a funny thing to say.
Yeah.
Jared Leto. I think he might be supremely happy. Like I think he might be rocking the best life.
I think it felt like a place he went a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, he knows. I'm like, what is he looking at? And like, then I find out there's like all this life right there.
He's like, yeah, you got to check this out.
I think I don't know like his full, I mean, he'll always be Jordan Catalano to me from My So-Called Life. But I feel like right now he does roles where even if it might not be a show that I'm like obsessed with, it does seem like he's having fun. He's like taking roles that seem really fun.
Yep.
So I'm like,
House of Gooch.
You know what I mean?
I didn't.
That, and then I did watch some of the We Work one where I'm like, these are like big characters that seem fun. But
I don't want to put down Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but if you think it's just a foregone conclusion that like a tech billionaire or like upstart thing is like an easy slam dunk role, I wasn't as compelled by Super Pumped as I was by We Crashed or whatever it was.
I didn't see the Joseph Gordon-Levitt one.
Yeah. It's not. I saw it on an airplane, which is just sort of what. Which I don't know why. Brian Koppelman, who wrote it, and a lot of the people in it are wonderful. But for some reason, Jared Leto gave it that secret sauce. I'm giving some Leto love.
There you go. And I'm like not even. I just am like, you know what? Good for like. I don't even know. I'm not even saying anything good or bad about the shows.
Yes.
But I'm like, whoa, he's like going for it in a way that is like, I do think he is like, seems like a happy person.
Well, remember when the quarantine happened and the joke was that Jared Leto didn't know because he was on a private retreat.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like, I think he's finding a pretty groovy balance.
Yeah,
I don't know.
think so too. That makes sense.
I didn't know this, but if there's a person I could be for a month, I think Jared Leto might be one of them.
Oh yeah.
Just be Leto for a month.
I think
just walking around.
that'd be a good choice.
Yeah. Okay. Self-care. So you were on your trip and you read a dirty book.
No, I read a book called My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which was a big book.
Wait, that's what the book is called?
Yeah, it was a big book a
fitting.
couple years ago. And I truly was like, well, I've never read this book. And I just picked it because I felt like I needed rest and relaxation.
That's so funny.
And it's about a woman that's so depressed that she does not leave her apartment for like months and months.
Yeah, bait and switch there.
But it did make me laugh.
Should have been called Bummer Town.
I know it was a weird choice for my vacation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did feel like the vacation and really letting my phone go. I had an away message.
Ooh.
And in maybe a bad time, the show had just come out.
Yep. Or maybe the best time.
I thought best time for me, but I was technically still like could have been doing press, but I was like, I need to end this for 2 weeks. So that felt like self-care.
Yes.
Yeah. And so now
Abbi,
I'm back a couple weeks trying to get in the swing.
Some sort of award. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I've never done that before.
What
in
are
my
all
life.
the publicists? You know what I mean? As a stand-up, they're always having us do things that you're like, I don't think this is actually moving the needle.
Yeah.
As much as like strategic little, like do something that's really going to help, not me on my phone constantly stressing. I don't think that it feels like work. It's like writer's room stuff.
Yes.
It's like we're going to stay till 9 because it feels like work. How about we just write the script? Can we just write the script?
Yeah, we don't need to stay till 9.
No.
Like for us to feel more stress isn't gonna help anything.
And to feel like grown-ups. So like we want to have
Yes.
briefcases and button-down
know.
shirts and be like, Broad City, season 9 or whatever it is. Like, why are you turning this into a real job? It's I don't mean Broad City, I just mean all of them.
Yeah, I know. And why not be efficient and get to like have life experiences so you can actually write about something?
Fucking thank you.
You're welcome.
Fucking
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Fucking so silly.
Exactly.
So your parents are both artists. Is that true?
Yeah.
Which one do you like least? No, let me ask it nicely. Which parent did you get along with more growing up? Like, I'm going to assume we liked and loved each, but like, I'll tell you, me and my mom, it was like this crazy alliance that she still has yet to get over that I left. You know what I mean? Like, there's
Right,
like a
she's
real,
like,
I thought we had a good thing going
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
and now
yeah.
I'm here with your dad. Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, where did you lean?
I don't know. I think I literally went back and
You
forth.
oscillated.
Yeah, well, I think I have really good relationships with both my parents. I think I might be more like my dad.
In what way?
Like kind of like doing a lot of different things and interest, like I want to write this thing and I'd love to like do like draw like just like lots of different interests. But then on the flip side, I tend to be a little set in my ways, and I am also kind of a homebody, which my mom is. I don't know. My mom, so growing up, my mom was a potter and would sell her work at like craft shows. And then my dad is a graphic designer, environmental graphic designer, and my brother works with my dad now. But that's just giving you a little bit. But
Right.
my parents
Little
got
tid.
divorced when I was 13.
Rough age.
Yeah,
for you.
rough age.
Because you were like really aware of what was going on.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And then my brother is like,
Sorry.
Four
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I
I really was.
Glossing past it. Yeah, I really was. Thanks for mentioning.
it
Keep
really
going.
was. But it was also sort of fully Jewish, but not the typical Jewish family where like we weren't talking. Like I fully knew what was happening, but it was very much like not talked about very also.
The divorce?
Yeah.
Is that like how is that Jewish?
No. We're not Jewish in that I think maybe stereotypically like Jews are more like vocal about
Yes.
and like more like therapy, like
And open.
early open. Yeah. And
This
I
is
think
what I
that we
ended
were
when I
not
watch all the shows.
that way as
Like,
much.
imagine just like saying what you're thinking in real
Yeah.
time.
I don't think
like it's
we
very
really-
waspy. Let's put it the other way. It's very waspy to be
Yes.
like, your mother and I need to have a discussion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
not-
we wasn't that formal, but it was, I think, a little bit more waspy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it was happening and you weren't super aware of it.
It was sort of just like I was aware and then it was happening.
Brutal.
And then like not much talk about it.
Not to put down your parents, but that's just brutal. for a
And
kid.
then
Like,
they
to
were
be-
doing what they
Yes,
like.
everybody.
I was fine. I said I was fine.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think they were doing the best they could. And I will say to your earlier question about like who'd you get along with better. So my brother is 4 years older, so we were never in school together. And so he was like home for like a year and then went to college. And then it was just me, and I switched houses every Sunday for 5 years.
No me gust.
No,
No,
yeah,
my
5 years. So
So you'd spend a week
yeah,
and then the next Sunday you'd go back?
yeah.
Is that standard divorce protocol?
I think it's that, or
It's on the
you
menu.
stay at one house and then you go for a
Weekend.
weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was really close with both my parents, and so this is me finding the silver lining right now,
Yeah, I see.
which is
Okay.
what I think I tended to do as a kid. But I got to know them individually way better than I think I would have if they were together, because it was like me and my mom
Yeah.
and then me and my dad.
Oh my God.
So it was like truly like us, like
If I spent a
in
week
a very
with my dad,
different way.
I'd be like, what? You like I'd figure something
yeah,
out
and
about
like us cooking and us doing this, and
because I only knew them as a dynamic.
exactly
As a unit.
Yeah,
And there's something kind of great about it, but it also sounded like maybe it was whiplash inducing.
yeah. I mean, the way my life is now can be directly pinned to that. I like split my time between New York and LA. Like I truly, I'm trying to do that still, and I'm like, my therapist was like, "Why do you think you're doing that?" Like I'm truly mimicking.
Tapping a picture
Yeah,
of your parents.
yeah. Like I'm like I thrive in chaos
Yeah.
in a way.
And you probably don't like the feeling of a cruising altitude.
No, it makes me uncomfortable.
How's that work? You're in a long-term relationship. Does that show up?
Yeah, it's something we literally
Yes, it does.
No, in a great way. We literally talked about this yesterday. The fact that the chaos and how we both sort of like I I feel like even anyone in this industry, whether you're working or not, it is chaotic. You do not know
Yeah.
what. Nothing is stable.
Oh no.
You know, so
we're
it's just like
pirates. We occasionally meet in like a shanty bar.
Yeah.
And then we go out to sea. And you look, we're meeting in a port, and you're going, I bagged a league of their
Yeah.
own. And I go, the remake? How dare you?
I know.
It's a reimagining. And then I make you walk the plank.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But like, I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I like being, one of the reasons why being married, and basically, I'm also a homebody, pretty boring. Boring is not the right word. I find it peaceful.
Yes.
Peaceful, steady.
Yep.
Is because my work is so nuts.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Right?
I love, even if I'm trying to like split my time somehow.
Yes.
I do feel it. Like I want to say boring too, but it's just like I want to read.
Yes.
Or I want to just like be at home because the rest is so.
You just made me wish I was at home. I'm having such a great time. I really am. But I just said to somebody last night, I was like, I'm so glad there's a social component to my work. I did sets last night,
Yep.
doing this with you right now. And I'm like, if I didn't have a compulsive addiction, good addiction to this podcast, to stand up, I think
Yep.
I'd have jars of urine in my house.
Yeah,
Like,
I do feel. Yeah, it is like because it's like a high level. It's like a manic energy.
Yes, me too.
At work and like right in a writer's room. You are paid to be on.
Yeah.
It's truly like turn on because you gotta like churn out. You're
Yeah.
spewing ideas.
That's right.
And
Faucet.
if you do not do that, then you're not. That's like the job
That's
is
right.
spewing out, editing this. Then we're gonna do this. And we're gonna, like for year, like for it's like.
Yeah.
So then when I'm not working, I want just like,
Yes.
and that does also make sense because, or I'm trying to map it back on, but like that chaos feels very natural to me, moving back and forth and being sort of like stressed and not knowing why and
I'm going to.
yeah.
It's not often that I hesitate to say something. I share almost everything on this podcast, but I think this is fair. My family life growing up was chaotic in the same way. I didn't know which version of my parents I was going to get in the very same way you don't know which show business you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you pitch something and they buy it and you're like, oh, I got Happy Dad today. Like,
Yeah.
that's how it feels. And if you do something and it goes badly, you're like, oh, Dad was in a bad mood today.
Oh,
That's
and
how
then
it
you
feels.
don't even know. You're like, wait, how did it go though?
That's right.
Like you pitch and you're like, they seemed this way, but they didn't. And then, or like, well, they want to make it, but like, they really didn't seem like that.
Yes.
Like it's truly
that.
anything goes.
Were you? I'll say what I experienced in my youth, but know that I'm telling it to see if it was similar for you. Is like, I felt like the Jason Bourne. You know how Jason Bourne in those movies is like he always knows where the exits are, and
Yeah.
he like I was watching my mom be upset by something my dad said, and my dad is like eating peas. And I'm like, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He just upset her. And like, I can, like, reading, I don't want to make myself sound like a genius. I'm just being a hypersensitive person, a
Yeah.
highly sensitive person, which I still am. It's one of the reasons why, anyway, not
It's
too
like
much
reading
about me.
body language because you have
Constantly.
to.
Yes, you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
Everything, not just when is a good time to ask for a phone in your room, which I really wanted, 90s, but like,
Private line. I had one.
I didn't have a private line,
I
but
got one for my birthday one year. It was like yeah.
at which house though?
Before,
I'm not friend.
Before
Yeah,
I,
Abby, but at which house?
before this.
Oh,
no, I
before
think
the
I had it
split.
at my mom's. I only had the private line at my mom's.
I mean, if I'm your dad, I'm getting you
know.
2 lines.
No, I didn't have that.
But
now that I'm
you can put one on
thinking.
hold,
I know.
conference, all the 90s stuff. But like, it wasn't just like when is a good time to ask for something, but like, I just want to be able to digest my dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, by the way, a lot of people had it worse. I'm just dealing with tensions. That's fine. I'm just throwing a bone to the people that are like,
Listen, all
Could've been worse.
relative.
I
Like
agree.
everything's relative. Like yeah, everyone's childhood trauma is very.
it's
different.
theirs.
Yes.
It's theirs.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's uniquely Boston, but like everyone I grew up with, you can't get them to complain about their childhood because they're always like, well, they didn't, put cigarettes out on me.
Yeah,
I'm like,
totally.
yeah, but they did leave you in the car for 9 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Like, your shit is your shit. I'm glad you said it. I usually say it. I'm totally with you. Thank you. So is this where you started to develop, for lack of a better term, like talent? Like, you started to get like mimicking, noticing, hyper attention? I mean, how much of what we do is going like, and then mom is like this, and you can kind of talk in their voice, but it's because you were paying attention.
I think I was very observant as a kid and very like, maybe because of some of this, like very much on my own. Like I was very good at, I drew a lot as a kid, even before that. And that is because they both were in the art world. And
That's great, because I'm always worried that Leela won't like being silly, or that's my daughter. So they both liked art and you liked it too. Cool.
yeah, and it was like, it was very like part of like my like birthdays and stuff was like art supplies, and just because that was like, I don't know, that always felt better than, I mean, now I hope kids are still getting art supplies and stuff because it's so like screen filled.
I know.
But
the infinite potential of a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
Isn't it the best?
it's the best. And
one of
that
my
would like
favorite
occupy
feelings.
so much of my time as a kid. And I don't think I came to performance stuff until later. Like my grandparents were very funny. And I was obsessed with SNL. And I would kind of mimic them, not
SNL
people.
folks.
Yeah, I would mimic SNL characters.
Who did you latch to?
Mike Myers
Yeah, of course.
and Gilda Radner.
Yeah.
And just like, I was just obsessed, and my parents were obsessed with SNL. Like
Fun.
my parents like I didn't know this, but my parents smoked weed, and like I had no idea that they were smoking weed, and like every once in a while I would stay up and watch, or I would be doing something and they would be hysterical. And I thought I was just making them laugh. And they're just high, and like it's so sweet because they're just home with us.
Yes.
And they're not like high in an irresponsible
No,
way.
I
They
understand.
just
That
like
is
had
not what I thought at all.
But it's so sweet now to be like, we're also really high. But that also gave me confidence. Isn't that such a
I had a lot of feelings from that. I don't know. I do know why, but let's keep going.
yeah. And then I didn't go really into performance. Like I did a little bit in middle school, and I felt funny. Used to do like we had homeroom, like student council homeroom reports. I don't know if you had this as a kid, where there'd be like student council representative in your homeroom.
Speak?
Yeah, and you would like once a month go to the meeting, and you'd come back to your homeroom and like talk about what was going on in school.
I'm dead.
And I always did it as Linda Richmond, which is coffee talk. And then my teachers loved it, and it was almost like
Abbi.
that validation from the adults.
Yes.
I was like, ooh. But then I went to art school. Like I didn't know, and I don't know about you, but like I didn't know anyone that did anything in this world.
Art?
No, like Hollywood, like writing, acting, like. So this was like not even
on the menu.
No, I was like, what? I love performing for at school, but like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
I'll say, for me, it was Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. I know that's silly, but they were a little bit older than us, and they won Oscars, and we were like,
and wrote it themselves,
all of that. I was like, who did it for you?
Man, who did that? Because I didn't come to it until
like Gina
after.
Davis, Rosie O'Donnell.
No, I mean, I don't. I gotta say, like, maybe Gilda.
Yeah.
I read Gilda's book, her autobiography, like when I was a kid. I did deep dives on Gilda Radner.
Yes.
And I watched Gilda Live a lot, which aired on Comedy Central. Have you seen Gilda Live?
No.
It's great. Mike Nichols directed it.
Oh, wow.
Like, Paul Schaefer is her musical. Like, it's great. It's like, if you love Gilda on SNL, it's like she does all these characters, but it's on Broadway. Maybe that, I don't know. And then.
But when you went to art,
Yeah.
When you went to art school, it wasn't as warm. Is that what you were getting to? You said you did your homeroom report and everybody was dying and the teachers were laughing. And then you said, and then I went to art school.
And then I went to art school because I was like, well, I'm not going to be a performer. Like, what? In high school, you had to sing to act. And I didn't feel like I could do that. And so I ended up going to art school because I could see like you can see if you're good at that or not. I could draw.
Yes.
I was
You can
pretty
do it alone.
Yeah, and and my brother went to art school who's older than me. My dad was a graphic designer. My mom is a potter. I was like, this is being a successful artist, even though that seems just as hard, felt more attainable because I was like, wow, I can do this here and see that it's good and looks like this.
Yes.
And that felt way more, I don't even,
It
that
feels
felt
more attainable to me,
Yeah.
too.
And I could think this way, and I was like excelling in my art class in high school. And
I think it's because you and I both know that there are potters, artists, and graphic designers that you and I haven't heard of. But there's no one who's successful in show business that we haven't heard of.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they have to like get on the board.
yeah, and it
that
just
makes
felt,
it
it felt
a small
like,
pool.
well, maybe I'll be a graphic design. Like I didn't feel like I could, I guess I always was like, I want to be on SNL, but it didn't totally feel possible.
Yeah.
And then when I was in college, I would take this bus up to New York. I went to college in Baltimore at this school called MICA, Maryland Institute College of Art. And I'd go up to New York all the time, and I minored in video. And then I started to be a little bit more, every once in a while, I'm like, what, maybe I could figure this out or like go to acting school.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy and acting.
I think not even, I had comedy was like childhood, and then I felt like I was good at it, but then I really wanted to go to acting school. So I applied to the Atlantic Theater, which is like Mamet and William H. Macy's school in New York. And I got in, and so I went to this conservatory after college for a week because it was so... it is a 2-year conservatory, like dramatic acting.
Or a 1 week.
And I
It's a 1 week.
moved to New York after I graduated from college and started this thing. And I was this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to really be an actor. And I hated it more than I think anything I've done. I was completely stiff and numb. It's not how my mind worked. It was like scene study, analyzing a scene, analyzing like beat word by word. And I
can't.
I couldn't. And then my roommate,
It was taking what you love as like a free-flowing, silly, like
Yes.
like how you made Broad City.
Yes.
In the moment, figuring it out on its feet, and it's like what we were saying about writers' rooms.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to that process, it's just not for me either. Like, what do you mean? Look, when you say "but," ellipses. What do you think that ellipses is?
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
really
okay, shut the fuck
talking
up.
about it, analyzing it before it comes out of your mouth, so that when you're ready, when it is going to come out of your mouth, like how could you ever? It's just not how my brain is wired.
No.
And my roommate at the time, who was someone I went to college with, and I had done video work in college, and really it was just characters. It was fully just characters, like SNL stuff.
Yeah.
But projected on a gallery wall. So it felt serious at college. She was like, have you ever heard of this place, the UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade? And I had not. And I went one night by myself.
On 28th? The Ridge?
Yeah. And was just blown away.
Yeah.
Like I had never seen anything like that before.
Because it was exactly what you were going for.
Exactly. And I was like, I don't know. I honestly was like, I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
In the best way, but it's all I wanted to do.
It's like seeing the Lost Boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm projecting onto you my experience.
Yeah.
When I saw improv, I was like, there are other boys and girls.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, it's just awe.
Yes.
And it's just, I want to do whatever they're doing. That looks so engaging and so.
And this is where you meet Alana, right?
Yeah, and then I quit Atlantic. got
How
a
did you do
job.
that? Okay. We have to take a small break.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the ads in front of you, but we're going to go to the ads.
Okay.
I want to know how you quit.
Yeah.
I'm picturing you handing a resignation to David Mamet, which you're going to have to tell me if I'm wrong. He runs the
admin
day-to-day.
department. Yeah.
As he calls it, the fucking day-to-day.
Yeah.
And then I also want to get into UCB and all that. But we're just going to we're back in 2 minutes. Pardon the interruption, weirdos. This episode is brought to us by our friends at Every Plate. Fall is finally here, which means back to routine, back to busy schedules, and back to the best time-saving hack for weeknight dinners. I'm talking about Every Plate. At first, I was skeptical about meal kits thinking they were overpriced, so expensive. But now with Every Plate, I'm convinced you can get the same deliciousness at a lower price, a much lower price, in fact. And now the quality of life goes right through the roof. Val and I are cooking together, making these meals together, cooking them for me, for Lee, for her, sitting down like a family, feeling good, and eating delicious, delicious stuff. If you think meal kits are too expensive, think again. Every Plate is 25% cheaper than grocery shopping. 25% cheaper, and they make it fun and they make it easy. So don't turn to takeout when things get hectic. Instead, get Every Plate delivery. It's 58% cheaper than your average fast casual meal, and you can always feel good about what you're eating. Plus, you get in the kitchen, which is so good for your digestion. You smell and you see what you're making, and that starts the process, and then you feel this great feeling of satisfaction when you're plating it and eating something that you prepared. It's a wonderful way to bond with the family, and it's a wonderful way to make it an event and an activity with no stress and without breaking the bank. Every Plate's quality ingredients come pre-portioned to help you save money and, honestly, reduce food waste. You know, like that big bag of spinach you throw out every week because it starts to turn into liquid. They start getting dark green and sticking to the bottom. You know what I'm talking about. So when your weekdays and nights get jam-packed, Every Plate will help you get delicious meals on the table without breaking the bank. You can skip your weekly trip to the grocery store as well. So this is win, win, win. I'm actually counting like 12 wins here. So if you get your first box for just $1.49, that's $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com and entering code WEIRD149. Because it's $1.49 per meal, which is crazy. Get started with Every Plate for just $1.49 per meal on your first box by going to everyplate.com and entering code WEIRD149. And that's up to $110 value. That's crazy. Thank you, Every Plate, for your support of this show. This episode is also brought to us by our friends at Mint Mobile. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. Always a catch when it comes to mobile service. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, well, what's the catch? But after talking to them and finding out more about their service, it all makes sense. There isn't a catch. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. That means they cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet, sweet savings directly to you. I mean, $15, that's crazy. If you swap, you could be saving, 67, crazy amounts of bread is what I'm saying. And $15 is incredible. So for anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate, whether you're buying for one or for a family. And at Mint, families start at just 2 lines. 2 lines for a family? That's awesome. And all plans come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. So you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep the same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. So if you want to get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free and show your support of the show, go to mintmobile.com/weird. That's mintmobile.com/weird. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/weird. We're back right now. Okay, so
Got it.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. For us, there was no break. How did you quit that conservatory? Because, this is a big deal. Your parents had to be paying for it, or were you paying
They
for
were. I was very lucky. My parents paid for college.
Yeah.
I think that I was paying for this.
Okay, that makes it better.
I think I was paying for. I'm like, either way, I ended it when I ended it because I would have lost so much money.
Oh, you were in a
Like it was like you can take it if you quit before this time, you won't lose your deposit. You will just get it back.
I can't wait to quit with you.
And so I was.
Yeah,
it was a
it's time to
mess. I was
quit.
like hysterical on the street in New York, which at some point happens to everybody that
You gotta
lives
cry
there.
on the street.
And I was like, I need to quit now, or I will lose the
Yes.
bulk of this. It would be. It would have gone past the week or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I went in and just. It was one of those scary. I was like, I can't do this. I guess I can't be an actor. And maybe I'll do this other thing that I wasn't sure what that trajectory was.
Wait, you had seen UCB.
I'd seen it,
So
but
that helped.
yeah.
You started the other relationship before you broke up with the bad one.
It was kind of simultaneous.
Okay. Nebby.
Yeah, but UCB wasn't. It's not like you go on and perform on that stage right away. It's like signing up for a class.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And so
Who was so you signed up for classes?
signed up.
Who taught your level 1?
Zach Woods.
He taught my level 3.
Yeah.
We were there around the same time.
Yeah,
I think.
this was 2006.
You're reminding
Fall
me
of
that
2006.
I remember, yes, so I was there
Yeah.
hearing about Broad City, sometimes seeing Alana do some she did these and this is not the Alana conversation. I just
But
imagine
you would have.
get that
You
a
would
lot.
have. I mean, Alana was way more stand up than me, so your paths probably would have crossed in that world.
Yeah,
more.
that's right. And she did these things where she was wearing like an 80s workout thing, almost like American Apparel, and she was like it was just really like hypersexual. It was like the point of it was like I think making fun of how hypersexual American Apparel
Yes,
was.
because
So she was like bending over orgasmically, but it was very funny, but it was also very sexual. And I remember I was very Christian and weird and being like, who's this young lady? Like I was the person that she was freaking out, like people like me. But I remember her at that time, but I don't think our paths crossed, but I remember hearing tell of you guys. That you were doing funny
So I mean,
things.
we were just UCB for a long time. We started doing Broad City in 2009.
Okay.
But before that, I mean, it was just like day jobs, and I was UCB classes, and I was doing some more like character stuff, and she was doing more stand up, and we met in a practice group. Bobby Moynihan was our coach,
Oh, wow.
and he was our coach when he got on SNL.
And he kept doing it?
Well, it was like he was our coach, and he was like, "Oh, I got like this, the second audition, like freaking like he was like telling us week by week of what was going on."
Oh my God.
And then when he got it, it takes a while. It's like he would have gotten it like in May, and then it would have started in August. So he was like, "I have to go. I'm gonna go on." It was like so exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember he said when, I always forget this guy's name, Don Pardo, the announcer?
Yeah.
Said his name, that backstage he just started weeping, which I thought was
nuts.
so sweet. So sweet.
Yeah, he was great. But we were on
You
a
on
team,
practice team. I didn't know there
for
was
like
a
2
thing.
years.
You got on because I didn't know
Not
how to.
at UCB. Like basically, you would pay a coach, and you would pay for a space like once a week.
This
and
is what I did
practice.
in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because UCB was such a hard nut to crack.
Yeah.
And every time I auditioned, I would shit the bed. Like they'd make you audition. Sorry, but I'm going to stick with my words. They'd make you audition with people you didn't know.
Yeah.
So you're improvising with 8 other sweaty white guys.
Yeah.
And
And a
would all
girl.
just do poorly.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going like, I'm going to make the big play.
Right, and you don't know. There's not that trust. If you could sign up with a friend, that was always ideal. But I couldn't crack it either. I mean, that's the whole reason why we started Broad City. I was obsessed with UCB. All I wanted was to get on that stage, and could not.
Me too. Same.
Never get on those teams or anything. And so Alana and I were like, should we just make something? And so that was what we did. But the practice group, we would perform. I mean, that was so fun. We
And
would
Alana
perform
was
at,
on this group?
yeah, me and Alana,
In this group.
her brother Elliot,
Yes,
Tim Martin. I don't know if you know.
Let me do a take each way and we'll edit it accordingly. Oh, yeah, Tim. No, I don't know Tim. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But what if I do? I'm so scared.
Funny. No, I don't know if you would know Tim. Anyway, he is the one that introduced Alana and I. But we would perform at under St. Mark's Theater,
Sure.
little black box theaters where you'd rent the space and give shots to the audience to like
Wow.
get them. It was just like a
You're
very
really
fun
bringing me
time.
back.
Yeah.
That's really bringing
But
me back.
never getting on one of the house teams at UCB, and that was very much the what is it called? The like
Impetus?
to start our own thing.
Yeah, those gatekeepers can be good for the people that are there at the beginning when the gate is first being put up.
Yep.
And then it actually becomes like this bottleneck that even great people, it's not even a UCB thing or other places thing. It's just the nature of gatekeepers. Then they just start
Yeah.
keeping out more people than they let
And there's
in.
never going to be enough space for everybody. And if you're a little bit different,
Yeah.
you're not going to fit into like the formula of like a Herald team or whatever.
Well, I know this sounds absurd now, and isn't that fun? But like a 2-lady team in 2009 would have been kind of like, okay, not full okay, but it wasn't exactly like correct me if I'm wrong. This was still when most people going to an improv show were expecting 9 white guys and a girl.
Yes.
Right?
And so we knew going in, it was like, okay, the slots for us are so few.
Yeah.
And also we were both just like kind of different. Like Alana wasn't as she was really into improv, but I was like obsessed with improv. And Alana, I mean, what we ended up doing at Broad City is not improv. So it was always based on our dynamic. So we were never doing like, we would never have really done a 2-person improv show because what we ended up finding was just sort of like these 2 amplified versions of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can improvise within that context of the situation we're laying out or like the scripted episode. But we were never, like on our team, we were good and fine, but that was never like our goal was to like go on for us to be like all these different characters necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But there were like Nicole Byer was her team with Keisha and Sashir were really popular. There were like women doing not Harold stuff, but
I know what you mean. It's just that seems like the new normal. Like you'd be like, of course it's like this or this or this. But
very much
in
not.
2009, that's about when I left in 2010. So it was still, it was unconscious, meaning I don't think we knew we were doing it, but that's what was happening. You were an outlier if you were 2 ladies. And did you guys become super close friends right away? Is there some funny story that you went to a KFC that was also a Taco Bell and you stayed there all night or something? Like, what is the story?
The story is just so this guy Tim Martin brought Alana onto
I know Tim.
Yeah. Brought Alana onto our practice group that we'd been going. Lennon Parham was sometimes our coach for that
Lennon
too
taught
in the
my
beginning.
level
Yeah.
1.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She's great.
She's the best. And so Tim had brought these 2 new players, Alana and Elliot, her brother, onto the team that night. And I was so confused because I really thought that Alana was Alia Shawkat, who played Maybe on Arrested Development.
You thought it was her.
I didn't know what that actress's name was in real life.
You just thought it was maybe from
Because
Arrested
they really look alike.
My God, I never put that together, but
they
yes,
really
they
look
do.
alike.
Yeah.
And so I thought,
And I'm going to add to the mix, one of the people in She-Hulk looks enough like her that I was like, is that? Just for a second. I don't even know who it is.
Maybe Tatiana?
All I saw was a preview. It might have been at a gas station.
Maybe. But I don't think they get, like, Alia and Alana get, like, mistaken for each other sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is what happened. And I also, like, I didn't know her real name, and and Arrested Development, the original one, had ended, and I was like, well, maybe she moved to New York and would be in the comedy scene here.
By the way, someone I know took a clown class, and what's her name? Maybe Alia was in that class.
Oh, so there you go.
So like exactly what you were going like.
It might have been Alana.
I don't think
I'm
it was.
kidding,
That
I'm
is
kidding.
so funny.
Your
I don't think
friend
it was.
thought it was her too.
You assume everyone makes that mistake.
And so we went to McManus,
Yes.
which is where the UCB community and like just it's one of the bars that the comedy community at least used to hang out at. And we went there that night and we were at the bar and Alana and I were just like hitting off. We were the only two girls on this team. And the more she talked, she was like, I'm from Long Island. And we ended up having a friend in common. And I was like, this is not the girl. Like, this is not the girl from Arrested Development.
You were slowly putting
Yeah, I
it
was like, this
together.
isn't the girl. But I really love this girl, Alana.
Yes.
And she was so, I can't, just so all the things that make Alana unique, just very bold and opinionated and hilarious and just like really felt very different to who I was at the time, which is what we ended up amplifying. So I was always a little bit shyer, a little bit more insecure, doubtful of like why I was even trying to do what I was trying to do. And Alana had this sense about her that felt like she really knew who she was. And that is sort of like the seeds of these two characters.
Yes.
Yeah. And
But by the way, who wouldn't feel that way with Alana? Like that, what a great wild card. And then you're like, well, I'll just kind of tone myself down a couple notches and we'll have a nice odd couple going on.
But it was, we were just on this team for 2 years before Broad City. And that was just our dynamic. Like we just made each other laugh. So we're very alike. Both have older brothers, both Jewish, both more culturally Jewish than religious. And I don't know, this dynamic was just cracked both of us up. And then when we were both really frustrated with our careers, we're like, what if we just did something else? What if we made this thing that was like tangible?
Yeah.
A little bit like how I was talking about, well, I could draw and I could see, I could draw. Like we were trying to do these shows and we're like, what if we made a thing that was like a thing you could send?
Yeah.
And it was like a piece of something.
That would audition for you and would exist when you, like something that's like doing a web series or a video or whatever, it's out there walking around even when you're asleep or whatever. Yeah.
And it gave us control over something. It gave us agency in that we could, we were auditioning for commercials, just couldn't get anything. We're like, you know what? Let's just do this.
Yeah.
Invest. Like we were so broke. We also worked next to each other.
Where?
Well, I worked at a bakery called Bird Bath, and Lucia and Yellow.
Is that a good name for a bakery? Isn't that where birds poop?
Or bathe.
Okay, they bathe. Yeah, I poop in the bath, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Sorry, I'm confused. I'm always bathing in the toilet, and then I take a big dump in the tub.
Areas usually, but yeah.
Why are they always covered in bird shit?
Yeah.
They're not. Go on.
I worked at this bakery. Sorry, we had started Broad City, the web series, and I worked at a bakery, which was the City Bakery in New York, had these offshoots called Bird Bath. I worked at one of those, and one of our best friends, Lucia and Yellow, who now does the show Hacks, and who was a EP and one of them, our main director of Broad City later on, had worked at this company called Life Booker, which we were in the craze of like Groupon type businesses, and that was another one of those. Lucia got this job and then got Alana a job like a week later or a couple weeks later, and then got me a job. And so I was sitting next to Alana and we were making Broad City, the web series, and sort of, every episode we were paying like our director like $100 or like paying the pizza shop to stay open an hour later to let us shoot in the back $50 and like bringing bagels to everybody. Like it was so DIY.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because our stories are very similar. To keep it brief, I was frustrated not being able to get in certain places, certain gatekeepers, doors closed. Yep. And then I've told this story before, but I noticed people like Aziz were making Human Giant videos and all that sort of stuff. But like the thing that I found to be really, I knew for a long time, and it was like a pretty frustrating time of my life, where I was writing sketches and I wanted to do them, but I didn't know who could edit and shoot and who had equipment and who had lights and stuff. And until I met Oren Brimmer, who does everything, and we still work together. But like finding an Oren or finding a Brendan Colhurst, like really hard. How did you find some? I know you studied video a little bit. But.
Yeah, but again, mine were sort of like a camera and I was doing a character. And then I'd figure out how to edit a little, but I never really trained in that way. So there used to be this site called the IRC, Improv Resource Center, that I would go on you'd find out about shows or someone is looking for new improv members. You would just like, you'd go on there and there'd be like, it was almost like a little Reddit. I'm not familiar with Reddit. I think it's like Reddit.
Neither
But
am
it was
I,
sort
but
of
I'll
like a
say
place where you could
subreddit real
just-
fast.
You what?
Yeah, I'll say, as I have many times, I've said
Yeah.
subreddit. I don't know what that means.
It's like a
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a league of their own,
Yeah.
and then they talk about it. But I think they write it in HTML. I don't know what
I don't
it
know.
is.
Yeah, well, it was like that where like there were like these just like discussions, but also you could post like something you needed or wanted or
Get out.
you
It
did.
worked.
Yeah, and so this guy Rob Michael Hugel,
Edit that out.
what that worked?
No, edit out this guy's name.
this guy's
We're
name.
not giving him any
This
love.
guy Rob Michael
just kidding.
Hugel had posted that he was like interested in directing and editing, and so I knew him from a class or a practice group, and I was like, dude, we're looking for that. And for the first season of Broad City, the web series, we did 2 seasons. He did all of them, and then the second season we expanded, and so we had a bunch of different directors. So like Paul Briganti, who ended up being like SNL's director, Lucia, who else? Just a lot of directors that really wanted to direct this, and we had no money. Rob worked just with us. I don't.
And
think
he had
we paid.
cameras?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, he had a camera. I mean, we used one of these.
I
We used,
mean,
like, a Canon.
was it a happy day? This is a leading question, but the first sketch that I shot with me and Matt McCarthy and Oren came and he brought a bounce out, like this light bounce,
Right.
and he had a camera and he had a tripod, and I was just like, I could have cried. I was like, oh, I found the guy. Was that a feeling like, oh, we're finally
Yeah.
plugged in?
I mean, we worked with Rob for the first season, and then it changed a little as like dynamics do, and we started working with other people. And Rob still was like a part of it, but it felt like growing pains within the web series. But yeah, it was exciting because also, a lot of people that are in the web series like wanted to be actors, and we needed extras, and so it was always about using the community. And I always found people on IRC. It was really
We're back
rad.
to someone calling an Uber for Mikey. It's like that need, again, in Tribe, they talk about how like there's obviously disadvantages to living in poverty, but the need that forces people together into community
Yeah.
is closer to our evolutionary history than wealth will ever be. In fact, the more wealth you have, you're at higher risk of suicide and depression.
Yeah.
And so when you're telling this story,
I feel that.
right?
Yeah, I mean that this time.
It's like we're all racing towards being depressed and suicidal in a mansion.
Yeah, and like that time was so exciting.
Yep.
Because it was like hustling to try and find this stuff. And, listen, I don't know, the other people involved might have a different experience of doing this stuff, but we always hoped, the intention was that everyone involved was getting experience for their reel and what they wanted to do as well. And we paid them what we could pay them. And we would have these big parties. Like, do you remember 92Y Tribeca?
Yeah.
Which is not there anymore. It's a great space. But we'd have these big parties where we would screen like a couple episodes and have a big party, and like the directors would come up and talk, and like really trying to find that community. But then when we got the show, the TV version was always, we were writing about that time.
Yes.
So like Abby and Alana weren't trying to be actors and writers, but it was always that hustle.
Yep.
On the TV version was about that feeling of being in New York in your 20s and trying and doing, like wanting and like finding your community and all that stuff.
It's going to be the most interesting time of your life.
Yes.
That's what crashing was.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
now
is.
I've reached a cruising altitude. Now I'll tell you a fabricated, mostly true, but like exaggerated
Yep.
or toned down in some cases version of what it was like. Yeah, the reason I'm shining a light on this is like for all the people watching that are in that time when you're like
Yes.
uncertain, the gatekeepers won't let you in. You haven't found your Alana, in your case, in my case, my Oren, my Matt. Like that means you're on the same path we were all. Everybody has a time where they're
Yep.
just like, this isn't working.
Yeah,
And
but-
if that means you're in good company.
And also I found that listen, I hope I have written about other things, but that time was the most fruitful material
For sure.
resource for me.
for sure. Because you were flapping in the wind.
Yeah. And I mean, even looking back on it, like I needed to go through all that, what felt like those shitty, hopeless kind of moments where you're just trying to get anything. Like that is most of my material is from that time.
Absolutely. And I'm not forcing it, but A League of Their Own, it's not about the third season of the baseball league. It's about the first season. It's about the running to the train and leaving your life.
Exactly.
We love those stories.
Yes, about the like, shit, who am I? Like, I feel like it's always about figuring it out.
Yep.
Figuring out where you are.
And once you have it figured out, I mean, I'm not saying, look, to a certain extent, I have it figured out and I love my life. I just don't have I don't have as many stories about it. I don't want to be like, well, I went to the Whole Foods and they had less kale than I wanted. Like, that's not as interesting as like, we'd go to the Whole Foods and eat the free samples and leave.
Always. That is everyone. Yep.
Or 99
Get in
cent
trouble.
pizza.
You'd be like, you can't just.
That's right.
Yep.
And you just want to be like, you're just some guy. You don't work for this yogurt company. We're the same team.
I know.
Tell me, I don't want to get into what Val and I call nasty delicious when you're talking shit, but I am interested in when going from web series to TV show. I remember when I got my first couple credits, there's just like a little bit of a survivor's, what's it called? Survivor's guilt? Was there, I mean, you can't bring all of these people with you. Everybody that went to 92Y Tribeca, I'm going to say 99% of them couldn't come on the, let's not call it a lifeboat. That's too dramatic. But you got this break. How did you navigate your first success?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are people who probably hate me.
Rue your name.
Or,
Buddy,
without me intending that, or I thought maybe I handled a situation one way and didn't. That's just.
I just want to say, absolutely,
that's
true for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that sucks, but I hope it's not like a vicious hate, but maybe like the situation felt very different for them than it felt for me. That's probably inevitable because I have that on the other side.
Oh, forget it.
So
talk about like Aziz. There was like, I looked at him, but there was also times where I was just like, Aziz, you know what I mean? Like, what is his life? That was his business.
Yeah.
And my business was my business. But like they become the symbol of your frustration.
Yeah. And I'm sure that happened. I think we had worked with so many people on the web series. And then there was like this big, huge time lapse of us pitching and developing, and we were at FX for a year writing the pilot, and then they passed, and then we were like, there was so much time that we hadn't really been working with anyone specifically when we were done with the web series that it felt like crazy to not, like it wasn't like someone we were like by at that point.
Yep. That's probably good. It slowed things down a little bit.
And again, maybe there was messiness in the middle there, but I think we really tried, and not even out of like, listen, so many people helped us, but they were people's whose work we loved. So it wasn't even like we owe them. It was like, well, we do owe them, and they're great.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it wasn't like we're trying to include people because we feel owed. It was like both. It was like they were part of this and they're awesome at this.
Yeah.
I was so happy with the TV show I always felt like it was an extension of UCB and the comedy community in New York. Like, you can't watch an episode without.
And Neil was in the pilot. Neil
Casey. Yeah, and Neil was in Broad City. And just, I think in Broad City, there are so many New York comedy people in the series, right? I mean, Hannibal we had known for a long time. He used to do stand-up at shows where we were doing our improv team shows. Hannibal, Gemberling, two of our Paul Downs wrote on the show as well. And Paul and Lucia were our main two collaborators from UCB days. Like, it just felt such an extension of that community that actually we couldn't we couldn't perform on that stage. And then I almost felt like we created a space where
We all could.
we all could.
Yeah.
And even in league, like Don Finelli is on Darcy.
Mm-hmm.
I've known Darcy for 15 years. I met in a commercial acting class that I truly
Brooke
felt
and Mary? No, not Brooke and Mary. I bet we took the same one though.
it was someone.
I
Darcy's,
can't remember their
sings her
name.
name to me all the time because Darcy has a story. Darcy felt like she said she went home and told Jason, her husband, when we took this class, she was like, "There's this girl in this class that's great, and the teachers think she sucks." Like the teachers just like can't see it.
Yeah.
But I really feel that way where I'm like, I believe in these people. Like I think these people are so funny.
Yes.
So if I have
Gatekeepers
the
again.
power to like cast people, I'm gonna cast the people who I love working with because they're fun in the process and they're great. And for some reason, like aren't always thought of.
It's like, I wish you would say this so we could put it on the YouTube thumbnail, but I'm going to say it. If you don't like the gatekeepers, build your own gate.
Yeah. It was
Would you say that? I'm just kidding.
no, like I don't think that we ever thought that, but like we just like it became that
Yes.
where it was like, wow, we're gonna cast Gethard.
Yeah.
Gethard and Shannon O'Neill were
Yeah.
the two most influential improv teachers for me. And Will Hines, like
Yeah.
Anthony King Ronan, like all these people
Yeah.
who had this
Edit all of that out.
who
but
had
yeah,
this
Yeah.
effect on us were
Yeah.
all in the show.
Yeah. Take it out, please. Yeah.
So
Love it, need it. Again, our lives are very similar because with Crashing, I was like, one of the reasons Judd wanted to do Crashing was he said, if there's great comics that don't have their own show, we could do an episode just about them.
Yep.
And I was like, oh yeah. The show kind of went a different direction, but we got to cast a lot of people.
yeah.
Let-
You
oh.
also worked with, I think Sloven worked on your show too, right? Mm-hmm. Sloven was on ours too.
He did?
The best.
You gotta have Eric Sloven.
Got to.
I always think about how his wife is, what's his wife's name?
Amy Ryan.
Because she's incredible.
Yeah.
And whenever we see her,
I love them as a couple so much.
I've never seen them as a couple, but we watch The Office kind of all the time. And I'm always like, I can't believe, this is no disrespect to Eric, but she's so magical. I'm like, I can't believe she's not married to like George Clooney or something. You know what I mean? Like
She's like literally, I feel like there's a movie where she is married to George Clooney.
Is there?
Well, she's just like,
That's what I mean.
she's just like
One of the greats.
one of the great
And so
it's
funny.
So funny.
So funny.
But they're great.
I
That
believe it.
couple is like the
Yeah.
raddest.
That I hope that didn't come out like I was like, this bum, because Eric is a delight.
Yes.
An absolute delight. Shifting gears ever so slightly. Have you ever seen a ghost?
No.
Are you sure? Would you like to? Oh, no, I wouldn't either. What about this is pretty open-ended, but like, has anything in your life happened that you can't explain that sort of defies the laws of reason, or like it just remains confusing to you? A couple examples would be, certainly a ghost, a UFO, an alien. You went to a psychic and they told you this, or this. Anything unexplainable? And no is fine. Or synchronicity.
Oh, I mean, I do feel, I don't have an example, but I feel like some synchronicities, I'm very aware of synchronicity
Yeah,
and love when it happens.
me too.
But I can't think of one.
No,
right
I
now.
wouldn't ask you to.
But like
But they're like breadcrumbs. They're like, we
Yes.
must be on the right path.
yes.
Speaking of, oh God, what happened last night? They happen so often to Val and I as a couple. Not to say we're like this magical pixie couple, but we sort of are. How annoying. But like, we'll be talking about, it has to be something really obscure. Like T-ball isn't obscure enough, but let's say it's T-ball.
Yeah.
Like we have a long conversation about T-ball. And then that night, we're on my YouTube, which of course is all like weird mystical stuff and religious lectures and stuff. She's like, what's that one? And I click on it and the guy will talk about T-ball for like 5 minutes. And we're like,
That's nuts.
and I'm like, Val, that just happened 2 nights ago. I'm like, you picked it. Like, that's so fucking weird. And I'm actually being more excited than I even am in the moment because I'm just like, that's just how it goes.
yeah.
Are you, and you're, by the way, this isn't like, I'm not trying to get at dirt or anything. I'm interested in your relationship. Aren't you engaged?
I am engaged.
Hey, congratulations.
engaged.
Are you super excited?
I am really excited. We haven't planned anything.
Great. Because you know it's trouble
just like
when everything's planned and like it's just like
well,
like
it just is like such a business.
yeah.
The wedding business. It's just like it's so exciting, and we're so excited when we keep like having like, okay, what do we want to do? And it's just like I think we're both so excited to be engaged also, and it's okay not to. There is a pressure just because it's like, oh, if you want to get married at a place that's actually like a traditional wedding venue, it's like a year
That's
out.
right.
That's why there's this pressure. But I think at this point, it's only been a couple months that we've been engaged, so it's still just exciting.
Oh, I didn't know. How did you get engaged?
We got engaged, and I might not tell this whole thing. We got engaged. She was in London.
You're like, well, David Blaine.
Yeah,
No, David Blaine wasn't there.
we were in London. She was shooting. She's going to be on the upcoming season of Ted Lasso.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and we were in London, and it happened there.
Cute. She waited until it turned 6:00 on
Yep.
Big Ben, and the ring was on the 6th.
And it fell.
And it fell, and you went. She was like, just keep holding
Yeah,
your hand like this.
yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Whoop. And then
And it
Jason
fit.
Sudeikis walked by and went, now that's an engagement. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe she got him.
And she's like, he charged me $50,000.
He did.
No friend
So we
rate.
can't afford the wedding anymore. But
Val would say, were she here, a wedding planner will remove thine fear.
I know. I
Just
think
kidding.
that
Like a wedding
we
planner
need
is
that.
great.
We just like haven't. It's been like such a
Oh, don't even worry
insane
about it.
summer. But that is the
You know what is reminding me of, Abs, is your approach to acting and creativity. And Val got excited about planning, not in the what is the typical gender typical or whatever it is. Like, oh, the lady can't wait to. She just like she kept saying, I'm going to say this to you and see what you guys do with it. It's like she wanted to invite people to a space that looked like our love. So it was a very warm wedding. It was
Yeah.
very safe. It was kind of lo-fi.
It feels like you just want to create an experience that can celebrate this thing.
That's
that
right.
feels like you guys.
And you're inviting them into
Yes.
it. And there really is something, just as primates, as mammals, it feels good. I'm just excited for you to invite other bodies into a space that feels like you guys.
Yeah.
And then saying, hey, we love each other and we just want you to hear that.
I know.
That's this whole
it's
thing
just
is built
special.
on that. It
and
is.
I really love weddings. And
Me
you also
too.
feel when you're at one
That's
that
good.
is like that. Good, and it doesn't have to be
I don't
like
mean
exactly
good, but
what
yeah.
I would want.
Yeah.
In the way of like it's a good wedding. It's just like wow, that feels like them.
Yeah.
And I feel happy that I was there to witness that.
And once you're married, you might already understand this as having been in a relationship, but like especially when you're married, you go to another wedding, it's like 0.02% your wedding renewed because you hear
'Cause you
the
get to,
vows
like-
and you cry and you're like, I still feel it. And then you look and there are other couples that are like, and you're like,
uh-oh. Yeah.
But that's wonderful. And sorry, but it seemed like you skipped over the engagement story. So why don't you tell
I
them?
did skip it over
Just
it.
kidding. I know you did. I know you did. That's okay. I'm excited and please, you already said it. I have no advice. I'm just echoing what you already said, which is just enjoy being engaged.
Yeah.
Like, what's
and
the rush?
I know.
Enjoy
The
it.
only rush is that it is like also exciting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like oh,
The rush
we
in
do
the
wanna
same
do
way
it.
that like
yeah.
supermarket sweep,
It-
there's
yeah.
a rush.
Yep, love that one. I love revisiting that
Oh my God, it's on Netflix, I believe.
I know.
It's a hoot.
with the ham. They
Gotta
always
grab
get
the
the
ham.
hams.
Grab the ham. John Ham too. Just grab him if you see him. It's okay. He won't mind. So nothing unexplainable other than synchronicities.
I know, I
Have you
don't-
ever? Oh, it's okay. Zero. People ask me. Sometimes fans
to
will ask
think
me
about-
questions that I ask, and they're like, "What was that?" And I go,
Yeah.
"I got nothing. I
know.
can't answer my own questions. So please don't feel bad." Have you ever almost died? That one's easier.
I would know. This would be top of mind, wouldn't it?
You would know. Sometimes it's when you were a kid.
I
and
don't
people
think
forget.
I've had a like major
Okay,
almost death.
that's all right.
Yeah. That
No-
makes me nervous. Like it's like
Zero. This
about to
isn't Final
happen. Yeah.
Destination. No. Most people have one really good one. Occasionally you get one. I remember Taylor Tomlinson's was like, I wish you hadn't told that story. Like it was like
Like a terrifying.
like
yeah.
a scary one.
Yeah.
We're looking for like I got caught by the riptide.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort
No,
of
no, I
thing.
haven't. No, I
Okay.
haven't had.
All good.
Yeah.
All good. Well, you mentioned your cultural Judaism
Mm-hmm.
from the tribe of Judah.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you now? Know that you're in the safest place possible. So it's an agenda free, but like, and I really mean now. Like, Abby, today, here we are, conscious, alive at the same time. Fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Alive at the same time as like Toby Maguire. Like, just like,
Hmm. I haven't thought about that. That we are alive at the same time as Tobey Maguire.
just a tossed pillow. I had to. I couldn't think of a more dynamic answer. But like, it is confusing and none of us are talking about it really. And I know there are easy answers, but there are easy answers on both sides of the spectrum. Where are you at when it comes to the meaning of life? One way at it is, do you think death is the end? Do you have any deity or any framing device? Just what comes to mind?
No, it's so nice to. I don't often stop and think about this, and I feel like I'm not as spiritual right now as I feel like I am.
Interesting. I know that feeling.
And that might
That's
be
'cause you're
also the
making a
way
show.
I'm feeling of like this. I'm just like, I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Even the vacation felt like I was intentionally putting time like over here to do the vacation but I feel like the rhythm of what I want my life to look like normally would have more space for that. And like
Yeah.
that just kind of means more quiet
Yep.
for me. Yeah, I do feel really, again, culturally Jewish. I mean, I had a bat mitzvah as a kid, and I do feel connected in that way, but not religious. I don't go to temple.
Yeah.
The thing about that I miss and that I feel like would be nice is that community.
Of course.
But I never felt connected to that community as a kid.
Yep.
If that makes sense. Like I liked the gathering on high holidays and things like that, but those actual people in that room didn't feel necessarily like the community.
Just want to say same.
Yeah, and
It's a
so
weird thing. You
it's
kinda
almost
wish
like an
it were.
aspirational community in that way. But I do think that is why I felt so connected to Alana, and we had this like shared culturalness to us.
Yeah.
And I think,
But also a displaced feeling from it.
yeah,
Because, by the way, again, yanked from my own experience, it turns out the large number of people that don't feel at home in the community that your parents probably feel at home, those exiled people are a community.
right. Yeah.
We just don't have anywhere to meet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We're just around.
Yeah, but you can find them.
yeah.
Then you find Alana and you're like Val, her parents are pastors and stuff. And like that was a huge reason why we bonded was
Yeah.
we knew the same praise songs and we knew,
Yep.
but we also had that same sort of like, it's almost, but not quite right.
Yeah.
And then you look for it together.
Yeah. But I guess for me, spiritually, I really feel most connected when I'm in nature.
Yes.
Like that is kind of, I think, taken the place of like whatever that. I don't even feel like I felt connected really religiously as a kid going to temple.
Yes.
It felt like something I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And now I do feel most connected to whatever people would call God. I don't know if I really need to examine it a little more. I'm in a moment where I'm like not sure, but I think my spirituality really is nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Where did I get this? I'm forgetting the name of it. It's a Vedanta book. It doesn't matter. It does matter, but it also doesn't matter. The writer makes the point that God is just a word that means origin,
Yeah.
right? So it's been ruined, certainly, over and over and over, and will continue to be ruined. That's what we do with it. But when you're in nature, a couple things. One, silence is every mystic, every teacher worth their salt will always say the same thing, which is like, there's no greater teacher than silence.
Yeah.
And the more accustomed you are to being with yourself and being silent and being still, great. And they all will say that nature is a great way to get into that. Because I don't know if you're the same as me, you seem like you are, Like we're achievers. We like doing stuff. We like making stuff. And then underneath that drive, for me, it's a repurposing of anxiety into drive, is a feeling that if I'm not producing, I'm not worthy, like I'm worthless. And the great thing about Nate, I don't really believe that, but that's still in there.
No, yeah.
It's still in there. We're
We
working
can
on it.
critically know that that's not right, but that's like
right.
yeah.
Exactly. And there was a time that I critically thought it was right.
Right.
But nature, and I've said this a million, but Richard Rohr talks about how nature is beautiful and asks nothing from you. And that's just one of the things that calms me down about it. Like, there's nothing sinister about this podcast, but you are doing my podcast. Like, we're having a nice chat, but you're doing my podcast. So I am asking something from you. Again, I hope that's not malicious or gross. But a sunset, Abby, it's given you everything, and it doesn't even care if you look at it. I mean, I could cry. That is just like so necessary. I think I'm going to say to people like us.
And I also like the secondary part of it is like, well, I think of nature as like going out and looking at the sunset, or I'm on a hike and you're able to get away from like everything.
Yes.
But then going back to the synchronicity, like that also I think is when I feel most, I mean, it's really just feeling a connection to this. Yes. So it's when I'm in nature, I really feel connected. And we are part of nature. And so the synchronicities that happen, maybe not, I mean, you could feel it with the T-ball thing, but I think it's like the synchronicities that happen when you think of someone and they call you.
Yeah.
Or you run, you thought of someone and you go out and you're running an errand and like you see them.
Yes.
Like energetically, that also feels like the secondary part of like the nature where I feel connected, where I'm like, okay, so like that's bigger than like the energy of it all.
That's right. You're not isolated.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Everybody knows I'm going to say this, but religion breaks down to like to do it again. Ligio comes from the same word for ligament. So to reconnect. So when you're in nature, you see it. You see this non-resisting thing. Like, I know it's an extreme example, but in a forest fire, the trees aren't like, oh, no. There's just kind of like, it's just kind of doing what it does, including living and dying. Same with animals dying, by the way. They don't go like, oh, what about my things? They just kind of go, I've been with my cat when it dies. It just sort of like goes. And there's something connecting and soothing to go like, even though we have these highly developed frontal lobes that give us this like different perspective.
Yeah.
You're that.
Yeah.
You're that. Like when I look at the stars, you're that.
Yeah.
It's not what so many of us grew up thinking, which is like you're this thing that was placed in this world that like walks around and explores it like an astronaut.
Right.
You are a product of it.
Yeah.
You're an extension of it.
Right.
In fact, you're a linchpin holding it all together. And even your death is appropriate in the wholeness of it. Like, because it's not about Abby and it's not about Pete. It's about this one life. So, I mean, you don't need my validation, but I think that's beautiful.
I also, in the last, maybe last year, but I read the Overstory. It's just beautiful.
It's for me.
Richard Powers.
Okay.
It's a beautiful, beautiful book about trees, connectivity.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
one of my favorite books I've ever read.
Overstory.
The Overstory.
Okay, I'm gonna put my phone here.
Like I'm big into
to
trees.
Remember. Well, you should be. Abby, why are the most interesting things the most boring things? Like trees and the way that they use spores. There's
read this book.
Right?
They're fascinating, and they're all connect. Like it's
And we're that way.
Yes.
So when you're thinking of your friend, I know we don't have the data for this, although some would say we do have the data for this. There's interesting, I forget what it's called. I think it's called the science delusion, but it's called something different in America. Anyway, someone messaged it to me. There's this British guy who talks about the mythology, meaning the beliefs, the unquestioned beliefs of science, and one of them is things like if Abby thinks of somebody and then they call him, that's hogwash. And meaning we don't have would
we measure? Yeah.
And it's not yet agreed upon.
Right.
But I think there will be a time
Yeah.
when it is agreed upon,
Yeah.
or we'll go into another dark ages. Who knows?
Right. Yeah.
I'm actually not pessimistic. I just mean like that seems to be what's going on. Like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
tick
I
tick
guess
tick
it
tick
is.
tick
Yeah,
tick,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
it's like burn the libraries.
I
You know what I
know.
mean? I actually didn't even mean that in a fearful way. So I'm going to read that over story, but I think everything you need to know, and not to be too religious, but not every time. Often when people ask Jesus a question, he would say, look at the trees. He would say, look at the fruit of the tree. He would look at the birds. It's one of my favorite teachings on anxieties. He's like, look at the birds. They don't worry about where their food comes from because they know that they're part of a system.
Right.
Obviously, you and I need to plan our lunch.
Yeah.
Probably right around now. But the point remains. The point
Yeah.
remains. Well, this was a delight. Is there any? Oh, I had one League of Their Own question.
Okay.
How dare you? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
No. Save that one for the end.
How dare you go back into my childhood? I'm just kidding. How old was I when that came out? It doesn't matter. When you put on the uniform and you ran out on the field,
Yeah.
emotional?
Yeah. Putting on, so the pilot, we didn't wear them.
You wore your kind
Like
of...
a practice uniform because it's like tryouts.
Right.
I mean, even that felt emotional, just like because there's a field of
Yes.
women in old timey practice gear, but putting on the Peaches uniform,
Yeah.
that just felt bizarre.
Yeah.
Like that made it feel very real.
Yeah.
And that was a very formative film for me. And just like,
course.
what are we doing?
We didn't get to this. What are we? I know.
Yeah, like wait.
Do you identify as queer? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a queer person, was
Yeah.
that movie like? I mean, I'm not queer, but I watched that movie and Rosie, I'm dying. Like I can't. Like any story, whether it's sexual identity or otherwise, about someone, despite the outside world claiming their truth. Moonlight, I know it's another sexual one. It destroys me every time. But if you go like, I have to live authentically.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Tribe mentions the 3 things that you need to be happy. One is you need to feel like you're good at your job. One is you need to feel connected to community. But the third one you might not guess is you need to feel authentic in your life. Isn't that crazy? Of course. Of course.
But yeah.
But how many people do you know that maybe you went to high school with and you talk to them and they sound like they're doing some sort of character?
I know. I feel like a lot of people don't feel that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Is there a little bit, we're sort of at the time, if you have to go, I completely understand, and that's not passive aggressive. Like if you want to end this and everyone boos. But I did forget to ask about that, and I'm very interested in like sexual identity, a league of their own, your own coming out, all that sort of stuff. Where does that vibe?
When I watched that movie and it came out in 92, I did not really clock that.
Yeah.
It's also not overt.
You mean for yourself?
Well, for myself, no, at all.
Yeah.
I didn't come into my sexuality until I was in my early 30s.
Right.
So like it truly like was
I'm not even
not
surprised. I'm sorry. Again, even as a straight person, it wasn't until my early 30s that I was like, what do I actually like? It turns out it's women, but like
yeah, like I just was, like
I didn't.
I
Feel
wasn't
safe
like
to do it.
I wasn't ever against it, and I had like thought I had been like maybe should I like try to like hook up with girls, and I was like I don't think I'm in. Like I truly was not. I don't know. And I went to art school. I really feel like it was a missed opportunity. But whatever. But yeah, it just I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, I think the generation, I'm 38, I'm like, there was like 2 out people maybe in my high school. It was like, I just grew up in a time where that was like no content about Will and Grace.
Yeah.
And then Ellen, truly like there's nothing.
Yep.
So.
And Ellen was a big deal. Remember when we
Huge
were all like,
deal.
she's gay?
Huge deal.
It was a big deal.
And Rosie wasn't out when this film was made, and her character is not overtly gay at all.
You're right.
Talks about a boyfriend and then like throws his picture out the window because he doesn't treat her well.
Right.
not
But not because she's
no,
like, I'm living a lie.
no, it was not. But it is like considered. It's not considered, but it is sort of like was this film that queer people love because it's just about. I think that any story that's about a group of people that are like this, like kind of like they're outsiders and they found each other.
Yeah.
Any story where
That's right.
people have like found their community.
That's right.
Is
and the
very
community at it, especially in the 40s, what you're not supposed to do it.
yeah.
And that's,
I think that that's why it was so. It's like a queer film, but it's not queer at all.
Yeah.
But so that was this that was part of at least this reimagining was like this community. Well, that league, the All American Girls League, which is like where the Peaches are, which is only half of the show version, was really queer. Like a lot of women on that league were queer. Doing the research, we found out, like we found more and more that was the case. And that generation, this generation that we are exploring in the show version is about a generation of women playing baseball. So it's not just about the white women or the white passing women that were allowed to be on this league. It's about what happens when that door closes for women of color who were fucking great at baseball.
Yeah.
Where did they play? And so we're trying to tell a lot of stories, a lot of queer stories too. And so I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I guess, I mean, since I realized this about myself, I've put it into everything I can just because I put everything else about myself into stuff. So Broad City, I think more than League, is like a more true version of my experience. So like in the 4th season of Broad City, Abbi meets a girl because she smashes her face. She like faints and smashes her face, which did happen to me too. I have a scar on my nose. And at the hospital, this is not true, but at the hospital, like meet the doctor, she like asks out because she's like, wait, the only reason I'm not asking her out is because she's a woman, but like I'm attracted to her. And that was exactly what it felt like for me.
Really?
Where I was like, wait, I'm like into this person, but they're a girl. Like if they were a guy, I would ask them out.
Huh.
I was very much into that at the moment.
Yeah.
Like very much like like just like not in love with you, but like you want to get a drink. And I felt like, well, the only reason I'm not doing that is because she's a woman. Like that's fucked up. So let me ask her out and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then
Is that what happened at IRL?
Yeah. And
they
then
said yes, this person?
yeah.
And then how did that go?
It went great for a while, and then it
So
didn't.
you dated that person?
Yeah, and then it didn't. And that is also like I'm so, again, sort of into what you were talking about of like that those moments in your life where you feel like they're like the worst. Like me being broken up with and like heartbroken after that relationship, I was devastated. It was a new, and it was so essential that too. Like I'm so happy that happened.
They broke up with you.
Yeah, I mean, it was terrible.
What was their name? I'm just
I'm going there. Like it was that's what my book is about, in part about just like, whoa, figuring this out about myself, that I do also, like I'm marrying a woman, but I'm like, I still would, I guess if I were to label myself more in the label, I know I identify as queer, but I would be bisexual.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I missed out on like half the population here.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the way that all went down and I was like devastated and heartbroken, it was so essential to who I am now. So I'm like,
Yep.
it's all part of it.
It's the forest again.
Yeah.
It needed to burn.
It needed to burn and then like regrow. And now I'm like, wow. Yeah.
Yep. You are nature. Wow.
Yep.
That's pretty wild. I love that. And I'm excited for you. I think you're going to like being married. I like
Thanks,
being
me
married.
too.
It's fun. But it's a girl, right? Are you worried about cooties? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we haven't kissed yet, so I'm not sure.
Like, I don't know. I had to get over that. When you're raised your whole life, girls, cooties, girls, cooties. Let me ask you the final question.
Okay.
Can you tell me a time in your life that you laughed really, 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 really hard? Maybe you were on drugs. Maybe someone farted. Maybe someone fell down. These are the offens.
Oh, I have one. This is Okay, so I'll try to make this quick. So I was in high school, and two of my best friends, Sam and Jess, we were volunteering to scare. It was like Halloween, and we were volunteering to scare kids on like a trail. Like, I don't know why it was like they like needed people to like. There was like a haunted trail in like this like community center. They like needed people to like volunteer to like be the people that like scared people. Anyway, we were doing that, and then we also simultaneously were teens, and we're like, "There's a party tonight. We need to leave." And so we'd committed to volunteering, and then we're sneaking out. Also, like, what were we volunteering? It wasn't like a charity. It was like to scare kids. Yeah.
You were a scare group.
Anyway, so we were like, we got to sneak out of this trail to go to the party we really wanted to go to. We were like seniors in high school.
Are you dressed as ghouls?
We had like masks and wigs, and I think we were going to my house after to change. Anyway, so we're running away from the trail, like trying to be like sly about it. And I was in the front because I was pretty fast. I was in the front, and we were like, it was like from trail into parking lot, like pavement change. Like, so like the like blacktop of the parking lot, like was like a dip in the.
Yes.
Anyway, sprinting, and we're like looking back, and we're like, we made it. I trip over the like pavement, go down so hard, okay? Like full like down on the pavement. And Jess is right on my tail. And so she falls over me, like trips on me. And then Sam like made it out clear, but we were dying, like, because we'd been trying to get away quietly and quickly, and truly like hurt ourselves so much.
Oh no.
Leaving this volunteer like Halloween, like it was nuts, and like really hurt ourselves. And it was one of those moments as a teenager where I've never laughed harder.
Oh my God.
And like fully had like
blood,
like skinned, like hurt every.
which was very fitting for the holiday. Like,
Yeah.
you looked even scarier.
It was so messy.
And you had a wig on? Because
It
I
was
feel
like
that makes it
Yeah,
funnier.
it was like I think I had a mask, so I like took the mask off, but like we were carrying like the shit that we had like dressed up as. Yeah, it was so messy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what I'm going to remember. It also reminded me of a bit I used to have where it was like a lot of people get hit by cars on Halloween, which is obviously sad. And it also has to be awkward too, because for a moment you're like, either they're really hurt or that's a great costume.
Great like in-action costume. My God. Right. I guess a
It
lot of
seems to
people
have some
do.
sort of pump action
Yeah,
with
yeah.
blood. Like, wow, that looks expensive.
It looks so real.
Abs, thank you so much. I was very
is
excited
so
for this
nice.
one. I'm really glad you
It was
you
so
enjoyed
fun. It made
as
me
well.
like think about a lot of things.
I'm glad. It got toasty in here. We're going to have to run that AC next time. You couldn't find... Oh, no. That wasn't me being passive-aggressive. Like, Katie, you should have known. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We
Thank you so
end-
much.
Oh, I love Mitchell's versus the Machines. I actually think
Thank you.
like it was like an Oscar-worthy movie. I love
They killed it.
They
killed it.
And your performance is great in it.
Thank you.
So I'm excited. We have the guests say the catchphrase, which is "keep it crispy." So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to say "keep it crispy." Did you do an affectation on your voice? Not really. So
Sometimes I go a little bit like kid.
yeah, a
but
little
bit.
younger,
Yeah.
skew younger.
Yeah.
I don't know why I felt the need to finish that sentence for you, and I apologize.
You knew where I was headed.
But so we'll have it as your character, but also as you.
It's the same voice.
It's the
Yeah.
same voice. But because it is technically your character, I owe you a SAG. A
Yes,
fee.
this will be as Katie
Yeah,
Mitchell.
that's right.
So
That's right.
yeah.
Would you say keep it crispy just to close us out?
Yeah. Keep it crispy.
I mean, great voice.
Keep it crispy. A couple options there.
You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird. Oh yeah. You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird. Oh yeah.